boys, the Split One playoffs have begun. The ALGS, the global series, has brought together 40 of the best teams in the entire world, not just in Europe. I know we're here. There's maybe a little favoritism here. I'm okay with that. But to compete for one amazing opportunity, and that is to lift the trophy behind me on Sunday. Well, they moved it, actually, but that's okay. It's going to be there. I'm so excited to be your host as well. My name is Rende. I am very, very, very happy to be here with two of some of the most talented people that I've been able to work with over this split. We've got Spider Tiff and Genome. Spider Tiff, your first time here in London, in LAN. How's it feeling?
I mean, it's kind of insane, right? Look at everyone that showed out on a Thursday.
О,
and I was
блондиночка.
out there in
Кайф.
champs
Привет.
on the freaking seats with you guys. If you want to be up here on the stage, this just goes to show you what you can do. And I'm really excited to see these teams kind of duke it out today.
An incredible story. Genome, you probably traveled farther than anyone else to be here, man, but we're so happy that you're here for this time.
It was a long road, Rende, but it's been that for all of these teams, right? They have to play through so much. They have to go through so much to make it onto this stage. But this is where they all want to be.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the setup here. Of course, we've got teams behind us ready to play, but before we get into it, for those who watch,
Лучше бы вот это импульс был, а не человек, который похож на импульса.
We start with the group stage. That's today and a little bit of tomorrow. We then end up going into a bracket stage, which is essentially a knockout format. You have to win or you will go home. We're going to start, though, with Group A facing off against every other group, and that will be what determines who goes into what will eventually be called our losers and our winners brackets. The winners will have a chance to play. The winners of the winners, the top 10, they'll go and wait in finals. They will be sitting to see what happens. Those winners who did not make that top 10 will have to battle through the gauntlet.
Но не так дорого, по идее.
The losers bracket play
Хотя,
first, and they will
ладно,
eliminate
нормально.
10 teams from the tournament.
Билет нормальная цена. Это только за проход, я так полагаю, да? Хотя если на все дни, на 3 дня это дешево.
Match point, of course, on Sunday. It is our epic format that has made Apex Legends my favorite esport and a fan of so many across the world. Cross 50 points, and then you got to win. You will not be able to do it. And if you do win, though, there's a lot on the line in a big way. $1 million prize pool here in London. I heard some screams. That's right. $1 million is worth celebrating. First place walking home with 300,000 Genome. That's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, look, these teams have already won something coming through their regional playoffs and making it here to LAN, but this is a big step up. This is life-changing money.
Yeah, and of course, Tiff, when you talk about life-changing money, this is a big overall road when it comes to it. These teams not just fighting for the prize pool here for the championship, but there's a whole year now of competitive Apex ending with the championship that they're going to be gunning for.
And I love that you bring that up, right? Because you will get those playoff points here at the end of the week should you finish at the top. But that is the question. We saw happen so much last year, right? Those teams that ended up having to go to LCQs before they could advance to the champs. So just think of where you came from just a few months ago and how you want to improve on that. So many teams have buckled down, hired coaches, isolated their roles, and now let's put it to the test.
Talking about coaches as well, we'll have a chance to all of our favorite teams. But just so you know, this is how it goes. In these playoffs, they will not only be competing for the prize pool, but also for points to qualify for our ALGS championships. If you missed it in July of last year, Genome and I were there. It was an amazing experience in the PNC Arena in Raleigh. We will be having that in London this time around. So if you're here, get ready for that. Obviously, outside of our top 30, they're still going to have a chance. Last chance qualifier will allow them to get there, and we'll have top 2 LCQ teams per region also qualify for the championship. Overall, what that really does mean is that we've got chances and chances and chances. But to me, this is the championship that they need to be focused on. This is where you are all setting the tone for the rest of the year. And when you take a look at the teams, the teams participating who have made it here, what a gauntlet not only to get here, Tiff, but also now that they're here to prove themselves on the biggest stage in the world.
Yeah, you mentioned prove themselves, and that's going to be what a lot of these teams are going to be looking to do. Prove themselves. Maybe they didn't perform as well as they wanted to at champs. I'm looking at TSM, 7th place, and Jordan said it himself. He's like, 7th place isn't anything to write home about. So what did they do after it? They hire a coach, they buckle down, and everyone is looking to step up their game, and that's why they're on this stage here today.
That's right. And Genome, as we were talking about it, of course, looking at these teams, overall, the big picture of who has made it, I mean, there's heavyweights all around it.
А, блин, я Фтяном его перепутал. Поэтому подумал фанатик. Немного ТСМов тут. 2 раза репса запихнули. А эффекту дали визу, кстати? Или там Манда будет играть?
Kind of historically brought into these interregional matches, and I think, Genome, that's a big thing for people to adjust to.
Yeah, so we saw a lot of that from APAC North last year, but that has definitely bled into the meta throughout all of the other regions now. And when you find teams that are playing a lot more zone heavy, they're playing a bit more conservatively, they're going for those placement points, you will see a lot of those teams picking up the Watson.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you take a look at these clips, you can tell Yuka is going to be a threat. Showing love to our APAC North representatives. Obviously, Genome, you're a personal representative from APAC South. We'll get into that in just a little bit because we got some fans here for sure. But this is who they'll have in their group. Speaking of Fnatic,
Китай отвечает.
And then, of course, one of the best teams in Europe, Ascend, joining them. I can't wait to talk a little bit more about Ascend and Kashera's journey to get here. What a story, as well as Group D, Crazy Raccoon, and of course, how can we not mention Dark Zero, the only team to have hoisted an Apex Legends LAN trophy in the past 2 LAN tournaments. Will it be 3? That's what we'll find out in just a bit. Let's take a look at our schedule, though, as we head into the start of today, because I think this is really going to set the tone. Day 1 starts off a little slower, Tiff. You have a chance to get in. 6 games only. Both teams playing, all 4 groups playing, C&D on another stream. Then we will go into Day 2. That will give us 2 sets of 6 games each, 2 series, as we like to call it in Apex Legends. And of course, we'll head into our losers rounds in Day 3, our winners, and we will set up for our finals on Day 4.
Так много?
It will simply be match point. It is going to be extremely exciting, guys. I cannot wait to do it. And of course, we've got A and B here, but where's C and D? Well, we've actually got somebody covering that. It's his specialty. It has been for the last couple of LANs, and he's got something to say to you.
What's up, guys? Nice week.
Hey, everybody. It's Greek, and we are going to be your official B stream casters here in London. We'll be hosting the games over at Wig's Twitch channel at twitch.tv/nicewig.
Yeah, you can go check that stream out on my channel. We're going to be hosting C versus D on day number 1. Those are the groups we're going to be playing. We'll be covering all 3 days, but day
Мне интересно, кто вместо Firebears'ов и Аврора будет.
Yeah, I love Nicewig. In fact, I got to shout out my man right in front of us. He's wearing a Nicewig cosplay right here. Stand up for you, man. Stand up so people can see. Nicewig right there. You can see it. The muscles are perfect. I mean, it's completely to proportion. I love that as well. He's going to be covering C&D. Make sure to check out Nicewig streams. He'll have some guests, and got to give love to the homie on that one. Okay, heading into today, though, and what we've got behind us. It's Group A and it's Group B. A lot of teams here. Quick overview. We're going to dive into the ones we want to talk about, but 100 Thieves, Alliance, Dreamfire, Godfire, Horizon Union, stories everywhere, Tim.
Look, there's so much going on in this group. You've got Horizon Union stepping in for some of the teams that weren't able to make it here as well. And speaking of J-Ling's Esports, brand new, they announced their org today. So you've got to be coming in feeling good. They came in actually all the way from preseason qualifiers. So you mentioned the journey, right? Well, they've definitely been on one. And I'm also keeping an eye on Alliance, who unfortunately wasn't able to make it here today. But Mandy will be stepping in.
Are they your ones to watch, Tim?
They are. So
okay,
I see we've got some Mandy fans in the chat. Stand up. I'm saying. I'm saying.
Okay. What is it about Alliance?
I mean, just look at it. That is what I'm talking about. That is the support. They have the hype right now. Hack is on screen smiling. Look at him. He is the IGL of this team, ready to show out. 8th in ALGS champs, but they're looking to start the year off strong.
Yuki looking as good as ever, making me jealous as always. What a handsome lad. Hockey's leading them as he likes to do. Genome, over to you. Who's your team to watch?
На подходе мобильный Valorant,
мобильный
Апекс закрывает.
Obviously a team from North America. These guys have done
была.
fantastically well at LANs before. It was a second in Sweden from them. They had the most points out of anybody, just losing out the match point format to Dark Zero. Then it was a 12th coming into Rally, of course, nothing to sneeze at, but they want to be back up there, man. They know how it is to be one of the best, if not the best team at LAN, and I think they are trying to prove that here, and they've got every tool in the arsenal to be able to do that. They're just looking fantastic. Their macro is impeccable. They know how to read the zones. They know how to get to those spots. And then they'll pick out the Loba, which allows them to play those spots so flexibly, but also just keep an insane amount of pressure on other teams while they do it.
Nocturnal also is here. He's playing in a safe environment, but he will still be on comms and playing with the boys. So xZed at full strength, even though that share is missing in the middle, but they are certainly, Genome, a team that has maybe been the most consistent team in Apex Legends over the past year in terms of placement. Can they get it done when it comes down to winning games? I know a team that has been in good form, not just great form, but a winning form, and that happens to be a team on a redemption tour. We were talking about it a little earlier. That's none other than TSM. I know we usually see fans around the world. I'm not sure if in Europe they have the same fan base here, but they are determined, and I think they are playing better Apex Legends than they have played in a long time. You mentioned the addition of Raven, not only in terms of the psychological impact it's had to help the team communications, to help get those problems solved a little bit faster so they don't get hung up with the personality issues that we've had at times, but also taking it into changing drop locations, helping them pick out zones and how to play it. There's been a whole level of tactical awareness and shifting that's gone down. And in terms of controller play as well, Hal making the switch on a controller. A lot of people meme him for it. I talked with Sweet and Hal earlier this morning, and Sweet was giving him a hard time. You know, we now have TSM, MNK, and that's just Rep saying, I'm the only person playing mouse and keyboard at this point in time. But it has worked for Hal. It has actually gone, I think, in his favor. And I think you can see that that perspective is going to be one to watch. Of course, all those three teams, very interesting, but you might have your own team you're following here in the ALGS.
Геймпадеры услышали?
We have Multiview, an award-winning opportunity for you to follow the ALGS Split 1 playoffs your way. Follow every single rotation, every team comm, and every moment from the player's perspective and teams that you care about. And have multiple visions of them up at the same time. Just go into the command center at the bottom of Twitch and watch the ALGS.
Да, мы уже запустили. Мы в курсе.
Of course, we will start today off on none
Storm Point.
and World's Edge. I know that is still showing Storm Point for you, but we will be on World's Edge to start. Storm Point is how we will end the day. So just letting you know, World's Edge will start, Storm Point will end. And that's going to be, you know, for certain teams who like to get going, Tiff, there is a significant difference in how they do on a lot of different maps. And you know, that's something you have to pay attention to.
That is something I'm definitely looking into, and granted, this is just the group stages, so I watched a lot of the scrims that's been leading up to today, and I don't take those very lightly, right? That's where you're going to be fighting for those drop spots. You want to challenge and learn how a lot of these teams that might not be in your region fight, but it's not going to mimic what we're going to see here on the stage. These players, I'd imagine, are primed and ready, and who knows, maybe we'll see something kind of get pulled out that we weren't even expecting.
And in a way, we just found out actually that there was a last-minute switch. We will be playing on Storm Point first. So Mark and Dan will actually be very happy. They're notoriously never able to cast Storm Point. Now, World's Edge, excuse me, now they will be able to. Genome, just last thoughts here before we get in the game as well. Just heading into today, this is a time to set the tone, I think, if you're a team here joining us in London.
Yeah, so much. I mean, you were talking about scrims, right? We've seen teams try a lot of different compositions, but this is when it matters, right? Have they found something in that practice that they're able to bring to LAN and change here, or do they just go with the tried and true that they were playing throughout the season? We saw a lot of meta shift, you know.
О, чуть-чуть получше стало. Так. Окей, сори. У меня вопрос касательно групп. На один канал будет? Или два все-таки? В том плане, что одновременно еще плюс будут они играть. Например, АБ играет, потом ЦД. Они одновременно все стартанут. Компов или 120. Мне кажется, они просто растянут. И меньше компов надо будет нагружать. Закупать. Занастраивать.
Global series, and guess what? We got 40 of the best teams from around the world.
Это Зови, беспроводные.
We have our LGS broadcast. We show a lot of love to NA and EU, but we have 11 teams coming from APAC North, South America, and APAC South. You see some of them on screen right now. A couple of some of those teams.
It's so great to see everybody come together here in LAN.
Они же весят как Вайперу Ультимейт как минимум.
You are here in the flesh, and it's going to be so great to see what's going to transcend.
А чё руки под столом, а?
That's right. On screen right now, it's the man Hill, his first LAN competition since Krakow, Poland, and talk about a breakout IGL in this year's season. Talk about Hill and the impact he's made for Oxygen.
It's so important to talk about how IGLs have just been able to not only collect themselves, but not only are you able to shot call and juggle so much high intense situations. We've seen
походу звуку только в этих наушниках будет.
And it's so great to see other IGLs come together, looking at Hill and on Oxygen, how they've been able to really bring up this squad together. I've vouched for Hill so many times back in the day.
Хотя и в наушниках за $1 000 000, мне кажется, звуки шаги в Апексе не услышат. Так что ничего критичного.
17-or 18-year-old Mexican-American player, his breakout event, his breakout season, but also, as you guys see on screen, little show around Team Burger. Any Team Burger AK Moist fans in the crowd here, keeping the hype alive from the champ season, where they, of course, slowly but surely gained that Burger Brigade. I know a lot of folks at home will be watching them.
Yeah, shout out to Moist Critical picking up this amazing squad. The Burger Brigade, got to put the burgers down right now.
А чё, Аврора нет? Название стрима написано.
Like some of these players have been getting set up with.
Absolutely right. So we're getting ready for game number 1 here in a moment. Dropship's going to be loading in just a second, but let's set the stage a little bit. Let's talk about what we're about to see on screen. If you are a fan of hyper-aggressive, in-your-face, entertaining Apex Legends, you're going to love this event. Why? Because the meta right now, Vicky, has never been more aggressive. Talk to me about it.
Absolutely. You know, we actually talked to Six a little bit, the coach from 100 Thieves, just kind of figuring out what's been going on with the meta between the different regions as they collide now. All the worlds colliding all at once. Lots of crypto coming out. Aggressive crypto play. We've been seeing the Newcastle out here, the Bangalore, and it's exciting since we are jumping into Stormpoint first. What is the verticality going to mean for some of these teams? Are we going to see some Valkyrie-less compositions? Are we going to see much more Horizon out here? What is the option between the Seer and the Bloodhound? So many different compositions that we've been exposed to across so many different regions.
Yeah, speaking of Six and 100 Thieves, you see Six right behind this squad. Former pro player for Ghost Gaming. Such a dominant player in his tenure. Retired from competing, now coaching and making such an impact on this squad. We'll keep a close eye on them. And you hit the nail on the head, right? Some Valkyrie comps. Teams that drop on the south side of the map. Because the north side is so vertical, you got to climb that mountain. Every single one of you that play ranked at home know what I'm talking about. You expect some teams that run south to north.
Значит, ферма. Ну так вызови команду.
Going upwards and upwards that verticality. So we'll keep a close eye on if we do see some Valkyrie comps. Because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Game number 1 is here. And we got the crowd live from London for the very first time. Make some noise as we get ready for game number 1.
I'm so excited right now, Fallout. We're going into...
Так скучно смотреть, когда нет команд. Так, а кто, кстати? Пока что не показывают. Аврора и Firebeavers хочу чекнуть. Так, пошла прогрузка.
So consistent. A big part of that is because of exactly what we talked about at the beginning. Coaches. We have Hodzik, the first coach to really make
конечно же, первых ТСМ показывают.
impact on his team, was super involved in their team play, their team comp, their style, and since then, the rise of the coach, like you mentioned earlier.
And it's so important to talk about the impact that these coaches have. I know on our desk we saw how TSM out here has been making waves, having their own coach, Raven bringing so much to the table for this team, and look at the success that they've been able to have in North America alone. They're looking to replicate that right now, as you can see them looting up on the side.
That's right. TSM had to earn this drop spot in Wall, though. They had a little bit of a, I would say grueling, but it was not grueling at all. They wiped the floor clean with KCP in the battle for Wall in a couple tournaments. I think 12-0 or 6-0 was the total count there. But TSM did claim Wall, and will get their favorite drop spots. Wall here, and then of course.
Да, я думал, тут экраны появились. Почему они так тупят?
Sykes and Verholst, two controller players for these squads, are getting a little close for comfort. Making a play, right? Is he ratting?
Что со звуком?
He's going over to the side. They wanted to fight for the beacon right there too. You can see just backing away right now. Nocturnal actually trying to provide the backup. That's why it's always so nice to see the side by side of where the circle is going to be pulling.
Ну да, командный центр не пашет. Люди в чате тоже пишут.
rotates. You could even see maybe a little early skirmish going on in Lightning Rod with NC actually trying to get involved, rotating out the POI of Thunderwatch.
И все равно какие-то технические косяки у них.
Have the beacon right there on Thunderwatch, but you know what? They called it quits and said, you know, we're just going to rotate away. We didn't catch one of these players off guard. It's Alliance, of course, that we're talking about, and they're just going to opt to go rotate on the edge of the circle.
That's right. Meanwhile, down in Jurassic Park, we got
Не знаю, Страйкер. Мне на них насрать сейчас.
With a little bit of long-range poke and skirmish, but Oxygen kind of typical to their team play and style. Not going to take that fight. They're such a zone-heavy team, arguably the most zone-heavy early rotate team.
Horizon навпитывала. Надо останавливаться,
That's when the Valkyrie gets called into question out here because the Valkyrie provides that extra Hail Mary, that extra second chance that allows some of these teams to get into a better position.
Ну смотрим основную трансу, они не запустили командную.
We have Horizon.
Опять накосячили. Там импульс играет или нет? Блядь, почему название стрима не читаете? Но это не близы. Близов, по крайней мере, Overwatch прекрасно работает. Чуть ли не идеально. Они всегда на финале были. Почему они сейчас должны появиться? Или сейчас есть они? Вообще удивительно, если будет, потому что всегда на финале. Там же пару часов посмотреть надо. Прикиньте, дропсы на 4 часа максимальные, а турик за 3 часа проходит.
Yeah, making the quick rotation outside of Cascade Falls to immediately into where they're going to predict where the final circle is going to be.
Dreams
So many
здорово.
circles end up here. Currently see NTH as well. They were
Что не видели у Визы вовремя? Потому что визовый период на одобрение визы стандартный. Вопрос, почему раньше не начали визы делать? Либо не знали место проведения, либо не знали, пройдут или нет.
I think top 2 overall in that region in kills. So expect them to play pretty aggressive here. Тогда, what a story he was. Obviously one of the top players in APAC North for a very long time. I know you were chatting.
С другой стороны, почему не помогли с игроками? Почему всем похуй? Интересно, какие еще команды, кроме СНГ, не прошли? Ох, специально пацанов хуй положили.
From the APAC North, as Norreption is going to already go on the high ground, they're already going to stay on the top here. I'm wondering if any squad wants to try to contest the Bridgeway area that's right behind them. There is a beacon right in front of NTH, but they're just going to be able to secure that, deny that.
Вначале приглашение, потом на визу подавать, чтобы быстрее получить. Это приглашение в один день могло сделать. Впадло на самом деле на эту тему общаться, потому что уже настолько привык, что все через жопу делается. Ничему не удивляюсь. Так, куда мне камеру? Вам мини-карта нужна? Мне кажется, нужна будет почему-то. Пока повки. Нету повок, нету игрового звука. Нету СНГ команд. Простите, ребят, что так воняю, но просто очень сильно в глаза бросается, мозолит, щипет. Такое ощущение, знаете, вот так еще сделать. И будто мы турик смотрим, вот знаете, которые там в интернете открываешь статью и пишут время. Ага, в такое-то время передал пас Хал стреляет с 301, нокает такого-то, и ты чисто представляешь. Из-за того, что на Твиче нельзя транслировать, тебе только звук дают. И сзади на фоне чуваки, которые также сидят в баре и бухают. И по-нормальному смотрят турик, потому что они могут, но не транслируют. Похоже? Это турнир как бы главный.
Yeah, and if I'm TSM, I'm wanting to take this fight. This is the early zone edge fight that they know no other teams are nearby. This is a clean 3v3, and they get early damage with significant advantage.
Завтра такой же, папа только дайте. Да даже лучше.
We are aware of the audio issues and no game sound right now. Apologies for that technical gremlin that we're working through, and we are on it.
Там как минимум СНГ игроки будут.
And while we are going to be able to fix that, we're going to be able to also take the gravity that's all the way down. Huge damage coming in right there. The Skynade just yeeting itself on top of the high ground.
That was the definition of a yeet nade right there. Facts, as they're going to do so much early damage, get TSM down to 20 HP, and Alliance is flying now. They are going to take high ground and advantage now in their favor.
This is so good for Alliance.
Давайте я буду вам озвучивать выстрелы.
TSM who started this fight with blue shields, but now look at Hawk. The damage that he's been able to put down. He's already at the red evil shield. You see Mandy going into a nice position with the PK.
I love this. Whoever that is on TSM, head glitching the top right there with confidence. Who is it? None other than Verhul. So sneaky, with slippery, and now TSM decides to push. Hell with the perfect black hole. That's going to do so much damage. The nades are going to follow, and that's going to give them a perfect opportunity to retake high.
This is my high ground now as Imperial Hal puts down the flag on top of the roof. He's going to try to waver off the team. That Alliance is now going to back off this time, but this is a great spot for TSM because it was the back and forth. Alliance did have the opening opportunity with that Skynade.
That's right.
Ну, ребят, ну стрим бесплатный, но я готов для вас постараться. Как раз там звуков нет. Блин, с Тюриком мне надо было попозже. Два нока. Ластовый остается. На двери сидит, но Альянс до свидания. Манда, ну что, Alliance, 20 место. Еще подсасывают. Ревс падает. Надо отходить, ну подсос, ну классика, ну что ты, не знали. Ну чемпионат толстому миру. Алынет. Нияк ног. 2 в 2. Баночку хилит, не хочет рисковать. А они еще пососут? Серьезно? И еще? А дверь закрылась. Они при... Нет? Как два? А сколько хп у него, алло? Покажите. Килку отменил. Дверь выбивать надо.
That's not going to be a ton of damage done, though. So both players will back up again. Zone is closing. Decisions have to be made. The knockdown shield can be played. Verhulst wins it. Verhulst on top.
Two squads out at the hands of TSM, who won.
Ходит геймпадер, кому я хлопаю?
And Flora, who get taken out. The crowd goes wild for TSM.
And that's a 2 versus 3 for Imperial Hal. Wow. What a play and what a way.
И ресалка рядом, и зона рядом. Хорош.
What's so beautiful about this is not only do they have the right next to them to get reps back in, they're going to be able to rotate.
Мне кажется, новые зрители зайдут, охренеют от подачи контента. Чел 61 флотлайн, не знаю. На что патроны есть? Победа им ассист.
TSM back to full force with 6 kill points to kick things off. That's a great start for the black and white. I know a lot of TSM fans are happy, but guess what? Game Ward gonna find themselves in a fight here. The French, the Cite France former squad.
Ну чё, Game Ward на файте. Так, ультасира вражеского ломают. Тайкоп все в равных условиях теперь. Ульту банги еще туда навалить не хотите? Отзонить немного. Зажимает. Преданность. О, карает первый хаммер. Юка, давай, спасай ситуацию. А, не получается, только два крака. Два крака ног, все, закрыли. Дестрой, пока. Дестрой как бы раздестроили. И посмотрите на ХП, они практически его не потеряли. Геймворд отлично сыграли. Подсос запоздавший, но там все равно у них сладкие условия были. Грамотно разыграли. Много урона не впитывали, каждый друг друга заменял. Баночку в бине взять. Не оставляйте одну. Норфептион. Как Мегатрон какой-то. Ну, кстати, вот эти типы, наверное, и заменили. Или нет. Другого региона, просто могу не знать. Все-таки интересно до сих пор, кто заменяет Фаербирвес и Аврору. Опа, а вот ног. Еще. А как они так нокнулись? Ну, последний остается. Вообще без урона кулибу. Практически. Тоже геймпадеры? Да, на месте стоят.
One by one, as they drop Fallout, we have to see where the circle is going to be pulling out here because it is going to look like a bloodbath.
Yeah, we highlighted the APAC Northception squad.
Ждем набор звуков от Апекса квадрата. Они будут, понимаете, если его выпустят, звуки в игре будут. Я вам буду шаги озвучу. Причем я не просто вот тык-тык-тык-тык-тык-тык, а я буду говорить прям слева, сзади, сверху, снизу, спереди. А? Как голос Рейв. С точной инфой. Ребят, давайте петицию создадим. Нормальные звуки в игре появятся. Наконец-то нормальные звуки, блядь. Ну, зная EA, это будет платный пак со звуками. Хочешь клип, как ты озвучишь? Ну, можешь сделать. Напиши, когда на официальной трансе нет звука. Как-то так можно назвать. Озвучка от квадрата. Ну, сейчас досмотрим. Потом скинешь после матча. Да, они до сих пор ни повки не включили. Но на следующий матч должны включить. Все косяки сейчас впитывают. О, кому-то оповещение пришло. У меня фолл, что ли? Вообще, наверное, у них.
NMW just playing on the other side of the building from Space Station, who have taken up the building over to their right. It's going to be tricky because if this circle does continuously pull north, they're going to basically be out on an open field unless they want to rotate on the outside of the circle. But if they do decide to do that, they have now less than a minute to make that decision. They have the Valkyrie, they have the Skyward Dive available to them, but remember what happens to these Valkyries in the late game. Basically, you have to take that gamble sometimes when you want to try to get onto the high ground. You have to already assume that there's already a squad closer to Cascade Falls that can be holding that angle.
So, once again, calm before the storm in this late game. Back on with TSM, who made their rotation through wall. But because of those fights that they had, they're going to have to walk their way in now. They could, of course, hit over Holstall, which we all know. And if you watch Hal's chat, could be a little risky. But we'll see how they decide to play this. Rotate here, currently not in zone, either walking in or Valk ulting likely will be walking in here since they are pretty much dominating the entire northeast side of this circle here, Vicky.
I think the players that they're looking at right now, TSM between Burles and Reps taking some shots from a distance, is Godfire in the middle of their rotation, and they're not in that next circle too. So once they start rotating outside of that cliff side, it's going to be very difficult for them to actually make their way into that next circle with little to no.
Ебать, жир был, а сейчас просто жир. Извините.
100 Thieves that likes to play for end circle with Nova to actually secure one of those smaller buildings. So looking at those squads that are actually playing a lot more defensively for late game is going to be important.
Yeah, well, I'm interested to see how TSM decides to play this, because guess what? For the first time for LGS,
Отвечай быстрее трансляции. Так мы Твичи смотрим. О, ура, звук появился.
Shoot the Bangalore in the open. He's low, low on me. Bangalores one. Dead. One behind. I gotta reload, Evan. 90 burp. Nice.
Нихуя там прям слышно еще.
I'm reloading. They're not pushing. I can see them. They're not pushing yet. They're gone. I'm resing. You've gold knock.
О, у него еще крылья есть. Найс. А ресалка есть?
Nothing close. I'm gonna pack somebody. I'm looking for. I got a Moby. I'm clearing left. Yeah, hold left, Evan. Just hold left, and you can get that Moby down. There's nobody close. Yeah. Nobody close. I'm I have a second.
Тем временем две команды уже откисают. Dreamfire, Norcal.
The team on the roof over here that might be able to kill. No, you're good.
Фига там эхо.
I'm gonna lose ammo. I'm really low on ammo. Alright.
А как у них микрофоны разные? Один в этот, что ли, говорит, в геймпад. Не, ну эта игра прям очень хорошая у TSM. Фул по кайфу. Выиграли файт, выиграли подсос. Топ-7.
Listen, there's only 7 teams alive, so no one's really gonna fight. I think we might land on the roof. Wait, can we land on this roof? We land on this roof. Yeah. It's open. This team can shoot us, by the way. They can shoot us. You have to shoot back. They're not safe, though. They're not safe. It's fine. You can LOS them. Come to me.
Право окно снизу, Империал, блять, аккуратней. Ну не окно, а этот подвал стороны. Они уже все ротейтнулись. Кусты слева видны. Ёпа. Ебать, они, кстати, как охуенно собирали. Но там окно мешает. Ой, как хорошо повезло. Зона плюс-минус есть. Все, сейф нашли. Ой-ой, еще сколько грязи будет. EMP сломали. Склад, который зажался, последний остается, и... Да, минус.
For these buildings and positions, TSM, depending what the zone's pulling, which is fairly central, in a good spot to just head glitch that wall. Great opportunity, but Moist Esports going to take out Horizon Union.
Сейчас Ищейки стрелял, будто с этим, с модулем. Автоматической стрельбы. Откидывает молики, чтобы не запушили. Так, вторая команда пытается закламбить, занимает крышу дома. ПК 19. Воришки. Но зона рядом. Первый этаж надо как-то халдеть, а не армора выкидывать с первого этажа. Аж нас слышно, как кричат через микрофоны комментаторов.
Pressure out this squad. They break the Watson fences. They have so many nades right now to work with. Look at Baxon. He's got 3 nades right now. You think he'd be running fuse? No.
Ну и через верх будут играть выходить, хотя через верх тоже долго. Я бы через балкон выходил и падал вниз просто. Ну нет, это вообще забей. На крышу? Они разве на крыше? Они ж внутри. Они прям до конца терпят. А, да, наверху PVX есть. Ну-ка, пошли через верх. Заборы. МСТ 2 нока. Сотка нок, размен. Всех убили. ТСМ живо, последний склад. Очень много получают, будут нокаться. Не, проиграли. Иксет первая. Иксет молодцы, они особо файты не забурились и первое место забрали. Даже не знаю, стоило ли им так всем лифт юзать. Потому что друг другу мешают. Они вдвоем выиграли, вы понимаете? Они выиграли вдвоем. Блин, а может там карлик играет? Он на самом деле под столом, и там монитор еще один стоит. И вот они тиммейты ищут. А где Пабло? О, он пошел его проверить. Да вот он сидит. Забыли, что ли? Лучший комментатор на ваших экранах.
Right there. The Skyname is just yeeting itself on top of the high ground.
That was the definition of a yeet nade right there. Facts, as they're going to do so much early damage, get TSM down to 20 HP, and Alliance is flying now. They are going to take high ground and advantage now in their favor.
This is so good for Alliance.
Давайте я буду вам озвучивать с выстрелы. Бля, охуенно, слышите?
On TSM, head glitching the top right there with confidence. Who is it? None other than Verhul. So sneaky, with slippery, and now TSM decides to push. Hell, with the perfect black hole. That's going to do so much damage. The nades are going to follow, and that's going to give them a perfect opportunity to
all the way down. Huge damage.
Бля, ну клип хуёвый, потому что половина это только я просто сижу и в середине где-то только начинаю озвучивать. Полную версию сделать. Минуту чисто.
But those are the moments that
Но со стороны охрененно смотрится.
They are not afraid to take any fight. So they have done the work and it shows.
Well, they've taken so many contests there in scrims recently that they have like a very polished 3v3 in that exact location, and it shows. They dominate that fight, and then they go on to dominate so many others. The amount of resets that TSM got in that game is just unfathomable, all until the very last moment.
And they couldn't do too much with that. I also want to point out, just because of the fact that that was such a difficult fight and TSM are so good at it, how well Alliance was playing to counter TSM. It was 51-49, 49-51 for about a minute and a half until TSM finally got that first knock. An incredible moment too as well, but how can we not talk about the team that took over late game? They kind of snuck in there. They were playing with the ghost of Nocturnal, it looks like. He's not in the chair, but they know about it. Xset, a huge performance. Fun, 8 kills on the day. Nock had 6. I mean, Gino, Xset are coming to play.
Yeah, I was expecting to turn up, and they proved me right pretty damn quickly. It was an incredible game from them as well. You know, we were talking about the macro teams, those teams that really love to play for that end game, and you saw why there. I mean, to be fair, very favorable circle pull for them, right? Saw them, Moist Esports, who also drop at the ski lift, that mid-map area. They had very quick rotates in there, so they both managed to read that zone perfectly and get and pull up position there very quickly. That means even though TSM were pulling in there with all of this you know, loot that they got from running through a bunch of other teams on the way there, Xset unfortunately had too much space, and you know, it was just one team too many for TSM to pull through for right at that end.
Look, I mean, they did exactly what they needed to do. During the Pro League Split 1, we were always like, hey, Hodzic, are you impressed with the team that is doing this? He's not going to be impressed until they get the first place finish on a LAN. And when you
Тёпленький к нам пожаловал.
Split 1 playoffs here and you get that first map win, you start getting the confidence. You're like, hey,
На серебре больше. Потому что там русские бустеры и смурфы играют. А здесь СНГ команд нет.
You have some adversity, you feel like it's like, all right, we got to pull together. That actually creates maybe the little boost that xCET needed to finally push themselves into not just a consistent team, but a winning team. 28 points from xCET to start the day. I mean, massive. Again, Fun with 8 kills, Knock with 6, and I believe it was, oh, excuse me, that was 6 kills. My goodness, Sykes. He needs to be getting that credit. TSM, though, these rounds. Tiff, this is a strong start to the day.
That's impressive. Look, I know we started off watching map number 1 with TSM, taking that fight against Alliance, having Flora go in there with the third party, but when did that happen? Because I did not catch that at all. That's 16 eliminations. That's almost a third of the entire lobby. xCET, bro, they're right there, guys. Hype them up because this is insane.
And very well deserved. That is how you want to pop off at LAN. That's the dream pop off. A little shout out to Fun, who's focused on our cameras right now. But as we take a look too at you know the back half of the page, you know it's the other side of the story. xCET has the dream start. These teams maybe have the horror start. I'm speaking of Alliance too. A team we think could maybe win this. Obviously they're playing with Mandy, but still such a quality team. 0 points. Obviously they've got to step up as well as some of the other teams here.
Yeah, and I mean, Alliance is a team that we've seen do very well in group stage before, but then kind of fall over towards the end of LAN tournaments. So, you know, if I think if Alliance have any chance of doing well, they need to be going right at it from the start. But look, it's one game of one series. All right, nothing to get worried about just yet. These teams have got plenty of time yet.
Неудачное начало.
You know, looking else there, you've got North Eption. We saw them take a fight and win one early on, but you know, as is the way with
Коврик гигантский у кого?
You've got to pick your fights carefully in Apex, but you know, North Eption, they just seem to pick a fight, just full stop, really.
У меня тоже не маленький.
South American teams there, Godfire, you got Leave No Witness. I talked to some of the guys on Leave No Witness. Argentinian representatives, Chilean representatives. We got APAC North here in this. We've got teams from Europe. We've got teams from North America. I know the story seems like some of the teams we talk about are still being talked about, but it's going to change. It is going to be a tournament that I think tells itself over several days, and that's the thing, Tiff, people have to keep in mind. You have to run this like a marathon, not like a sprint.
Yes, that's a really valid point. Consistency is key, and that's going to be the story throughout the entirety of this, because you need to make it to that match point finals. Yes, xCET won the first game here, and notoriously that's a little different for them. It's exciting, right? But we want to get to that match point Sunday where they can hit that 50-point threshold.
Ну, на full stall, видимо. У меня, наверное, стол такой же. Ну, да, здорово. Стало коврик. У меня дом тоже такой есть. У меня стол вместе с ковром шел, который на весь стол накрывается.
Monster Energy, the official energy drink of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Хуйня, имба Энерджи в разы лучше. Это 4-й сезон, что ли? Визуально, походу, да. Патч с возвращением Олимпа сегодня должен был быть, кстати. Или будет в 9 часов. Я подумал, Тасмастер сначала. А, курсор не виден. Хрена себе. А где кристаллы на перчатках? Найсвик красавчик, конечно. На Апексе круто поднялся. Спасибо, Айрон. Не вывезли? Да, опять же говорю, скорее всего, вместе одновременно полетели. Если бы гравелиф юзали по одному, а так друг друга упоролись, и один из них стрелять, либо оба не могут.
Start for North America, top 3 right now.
Gotta talk about Exit. They land in Cascade Falls, and the way that they were able to position themselves outside of the fray, outside of what was going on with the rotations happening on the southern side of that final circle, was amazing because you saw them end with 16 KP to their name, double digits already off the rip after that. Game 1 is gonna be able to skyrocket them in the overall leaderboard.
У них реально тиммейт там под столом. Смотрите, на него смотрят, общаются с ним.
We missed a little bit of on screen as we were watching a couple of other fights on the map, but wow, 16 kills to start a 28-point game, and right now TSM exit with a margin. However, we did see Pulverex, a team that is used to playing late game because they had 2 players. They make it to late game, they get themselves some points as well. They're representing APAC North right now.
They're rocking the star trio though out here.
Он когда нокается, он... О!
TSM, 100 Thieves, Moist, Pulverets, exit the top 5 squads after that last game.
Такая девушка, не-не-не.
I love the fan love out here in the audience. Shout out to you guys here, making your way over to London to make sure you guys can support your favorite teams.
Yeah, I see a couple beverages, as you'd expect here in London. Big shout out to everyone showing up on a Thursday. Look, if you skipped work today or school, let me hear it, to be here for LGS. That's a big shout out to every single one of y'all. Appreciate you on this Thursday. I think that was just all of them.
I don't blame them. I mean, look at the action we already got off the rip after that game 1. Are you kidding me? Also, talking about TSM, talking about what we saw between their fight between Alliance and Flora.
Он под столом, потому что с энерговинтовкой играет.
С чьей-то еще. TSM в этом лобби, да? Ну, Final Mouse чел юзает.
Space Station did find themselves with 9 kills, so we didn't see much of it on screen or in the leaderboards, but they of course are going to sit within the top 7 as well as a result of their performance. South America though, didn't see a whole lot of them in the overall kill feed. We'll see if they can step up. Godfire is one team I'm keeping a close eye on. We were talking to a few players. I was talking to IG, and they mentioned that Bin on this team might be the most
Шутерист, но они топ-2 заняли.
in the world. He is so mechanically talented. They are watching him.
В основном топ-3 команды обсуждают.
Mind-blown how just truly gifted he is. I'm excited to see what Bin can do.
Also, you think about all the hidden bosses out here, you know, that don't get as much love as they need. Being able to represent their squad in LAN, this is their moment to shine. As we take a look at some of the other competitors, also got to say, love the banter that I usually get to see before we load into that next game between a lot of our players who are having a good time out here. Just happy to make it out to LAN.
That's right. Moist Esports picked up the Team Burger squad after a great run at.
Ну, вообще, да, Страйкер. Удивительно, что они до сих пор, матч уже закончился. По идее, должны были остыть, собраться. Но похоже, что нет.
But with that said, here's one thing that's important to understand is based on performance at this tournament,
Джипрошка старая.
over to split 2 playoffs and champs in terms of how many teams are invited per region. Right now, APAC North gets 10 teams. APAC South.
Почему он Суперлайт не взял? Суперлайт у коллеги как раз.
They'll be awarded more spots and more invites for future tournaments, which is amazing. So keep in mind, you're not only representing your team, you're representing your entire region.
Yes, it's a lot on the line. It's not just money that.
Я, кстати, не понимал, как цвет волос такой слева. Типа, он либо выцветает, так что так не очень смотрится, будто болотный, а не зеленый. И белый совсем не белый.
Another one of the squads that made it into the top 5 in that final game. Believe they got third with 3 KP playing a lot more passively.
That's right. You know, I know 100 Thieves.
А, тут другое дело. Огненный. Наруто. О, мышка X2. Могу вам переводить, какие у кого девайсы. Что за уши? Про уши не знаю. Ну, наверняка с хорошей очень шумоизоляцией. Который самое главное.
They're also one of the teams rocking the Loba, Crypto, and Valkyrie. I love the composition diversity that we're seeing between so many of our teams. Exit, of course, one that was Seer, Bangalore, and Valkyrie themselves. As we get ready for game number 2, I don't want to waste any more time, Follow. Let's dive right into it.
That's right, Vicky. Game number 2 is here. The dropship is flying across Storm Point, baby. Let's get ready to jump right back into the action. Game 1 found Exit dominating with a first place win. TSM farming on edge against Alliance and against Flora from APAC North. we'll see what game 2 has in store.
What's so important to note too, because there was so much action happening between mid to late game, was the importance of the replicator there. You heard it in the comms with TSM. They had the mobile respawn beacon that they were able to craft up in the replicator. They took their time. You saw the fight with Burholz with the G7. So with a lot of other teams utilizing the replicator, taking their time, either boosting up their Evo shield and making the rotate, that's definitely something to note, because as you can see right here, we got
Нервничать тяжело на публику играть. Да им насрать на публику, им нужно турик играть. Они все на этом сконцентрированы.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's why you saw them kind of just chilling in wall. You saw Hal and Verholz with the G7 Scout, which they crafted. But here's the thing. They don't got a replicator this time around. They are going to get a hot zone, though. So they'll get some great loot, some great purple and gold items. No G7s to their name. And, of course, Psych's going to scan beacon. They get a beacon as well. Verholz is going to rotate south, scan that beacon. They'll get that intel as well.
Look at the patient play, though.
Ваши ставки появился? Походу нет. Ладно, можно еще минуту-две подождать, и может появится. Как вы думаете, повки появятся от каждого игрока? Финал турнира. Ну, сетка, правда, еще что. Ну, план. По крайней мере. С самыми мощными, сильными командами этого сплита. Кто также будет мертва? Тут мне что-то так же кажется. Вы слышите это? Они подумали, озвучка от квадрогейминга слишком большой популярностью будет пользоваться. И надо врубать звук. То если не мы. Vicky, but likely instead going to be right within the bunker by Jurassic Park. Of course, the zone cannot finish in Jurassic Park based on the AI, the prowlers that are there. So it's going to be likely either north or just southeast of that. You know, if this circle does continuously, though, pull towards the east side, I'm wondering how that's going to fare for the squads that are going to be rotating from high to low ground. There's a little bit of cover in that beacon no-name area. Оказалось, будто Хэвимак он не взял синий. Либо у него из-под носа забрали. Да, ну тут нормально вроде обновляют. Ребята, если на Battlefly найдете таблицу с очками, со статистикой, можете скинуть в чат. А то я что-то нащупать не могу. А не жирно ли для альянсов вот эту луку лутать? Юки собак фармит. Дестрой же до сих пор на своей локе. Крафчиваются. Они даже никого не фармили. Пауков. Хотя стопэ, пауков здесь зафармили. Circle positioning, making sure they can bunker down with the Watson fences. They have the crypto drone here too, so if another squad tries to boot them out of this location alone, they're going to be able to also answer. Он с них и начинает фарм. That's right. On the flip side, we do have quite a few teams playing edge. Look at North Emshin all the way at the northwest side of the map, still at North Pad, where they drop. They actually drop southeast of North Pad and rotate and loot late at North Pad, which is a good decision. It means they can clean up all the extra loot that maybe teams might try and steal or take. Meanwhile, big fight going on here. TSM likes to be aggressive in this building here. Hal down to 20 HP. Интересно, как бы ты озвучил крафтилку, я сам не знаю. Но явно не круче того самого полицейского из Академии. Reps finishes off that one knock, and as we dive right into this fight, here comes that EMP. Burrow's falling incredibly low, and he's right there in the mouth of the stairwell. That's right. We're playing against Leave No Witness, South American team, as it just sells. Looks like Reps is the last one with the bat. Passion is going to get taken out, one of our substitute teams. That's an all-Finnish squad playing with Urban from the UK.
They're going to get taken out. So does Crook from Oxygen. So another slow start here for Oxygen.
And it's Exet on top of this roof, actually looking at the squads that are in the middle of rotating through the southern side, playing on the outside of that building that we just saw TSM, and there's another team right to their north. Like you mentioned before, Paulo, this is a very third-partyable location to be in, but with Exet, they are rocking the Bangalore.
Вовки, да, походу, либо в следующем дне, либо, не знаю, следующий матч. По частям бы очень... Сейчас звук вернули. Там Повки, наверное.
I was just waiting for that day. Shiv was holding it down, was trying to tell everybody, look, Bangalore's viable. Little did we know, Bangalore would be one of the most played legends in today's current meta. TSM still just toying with their food here. It's leave no witnesses on high ground, waiting for that perfect opportunity to push. Maybe that's it. Hal's gonna break ice, but says I didn't do enough. That got reset, let me heal up.
It's very interesting. The drone acted like a little shield almost real quick, and the player thinking he has a shot, holding different angles as Reps, but then he gets pinged from the outside of the building.
Yeah, Reps has another battery here, and the reason they want to take this fight, and they want to take it quick, is because they need the loot. Yeah. They can use these shield bats, they can use this loot, they're gonna get it. Shield swaps on the ground for them available as well. Leave no witness.
3 поинта есть,
eliminated. TSM also able to thwart off any third party. 100 Thieves wanted it.
Now, there are no more witnesses out here.
Говоришки не хотят.
Да,
еще один склад отходит.
That's right. I mean, technically 100 Thieves was a witness, though. So there's one more witness. One more witness still out there. It's 100 Thieves.
Маркет поставил поближе. Ну, снизу видно его просто. Он поближе, чтобы залутать коробки, которые упали. В здании после файта с ТСМ.
Reception in another fight between Game Ward. Black Hole getting heated from across, not going to land on anybody as Reception is just playing off the low ground.
Game Ward и ульту отдает, а кто отдает? Нарсы, походу, да.
You can see them, nice little shot with the wingman right now as Taida is just going to be playing off the rooftop.
That's right. A nice defensive.
Одни всрали ульту, другие всрали.
The reality is that was a
Поиграем.
Horizontal in my eyes, a little preemptive, maybe some of the nerves again, kind of just yeeted it across the map, didn't really do a lot with it, and now they won't have the Horizontal to work with.
It's kind of like a 1-1 trade-off too, because then you also use the Seer ult too at the moment where the squad wasn't going to push in general, but at least for the use of the Seer ult, it's to prevent the squad from having the opportunity to push in. And now you can see as Reception actually are taking a different off angle. GameWord says, all right, you know what, we don't like this trade right now, we're just going to drop to the low ground, but is it dropping a little bit too soon with Psychop falling incredibly low?
Yeah, that's right. Our Game Ward says, yeah, we're good. And I don't know if they know it or not, but wise decision against the Northeption team that likes to push such a kill-heavy team. Top 1 or top 2 teams in all of APAC North, a very aggressive region in kills, and that's how they qualified. The vast majority of their points did come from kills. So Game Ward is going to back out and reset here. If you're not familiar with Game Ward, well, they are a team that dominated the second half of Pro League in EMEA. Started really, really slow, and again, you wonder if it was because Aimbot and YOLO were competing for the first time, but Psychop, one of the longest-lasting competitors, a veteran in our scene, former Le Site de France champion. He won multiple online tournaments and multiple events with Le Site de France, took a big risk, picked up these 2 rookies, 18 and 19 years old, and it's paid off.
Wow, the young legends out here, so much young talent just being able to showcase their skills right now and land in Game Ward with the rotate, opting to call it early because they wanted to actually wrap around this landform so that way they don't have trouble getting into that next circle. If we could see where that next circle is going to be pulling, because it is going to be insane to see the squads exiting out of Cascade Falls. It is in that middle area that we saw Pulverix originally in earlier.
That's right. Again, the combo for the Storm, 18 squads left. You saw 2 teams kind of eliminated. One was center map by TSM, and one was on edge. As we got J-Lings Esports. Again, big shout out to J-Lings picking up this squad. A great pickup. 2 dominant British players with VJ also on controller. The 3 roller boys have looked so good throughout Pro League, especially in the second half. They were on fire. The big question with this team is, though, Vicky, they're young.
Yeah, дропсов нет.
For the first time, you wonder nerves and other factors that might play into effect here. But again, I've heard that story.
Если будут, то в финале.
Online Warriors, they're not going to compete on LAN, and guess what? Every single time I've seen the Online Warriors dominate on LAN and become the best.
Тут же все реликвии можно взять вроде, да? На аккаунте что там дают?
But VC is also one of those teams that ramp up with confidence. They get that momentum very quickly, and when they are feeling themselves, you could see it rolling into the next games. It's just GG go next, and they got the RE45 in their hands too. So that basically counts as another player out here. Call them cheating. I mean, RE45 goes absolutely crazy. But J-Lings are just looking at the squads that have already taken control over the buildings right to their south, trying to make sure that they can gatekeep any other squads making their rotation to the north.
That's right, especially on controller. Give me that RE45. I'm a happy person.
Goes Bird.
Yeah, and you go Zane, obviously the biggest rookie on this team. VJ and Nags do have a lot of experience. VJ did play with Ascend and had tons of XP with them last Pro League. And of course, Nags as well played at Element 6 for a while and played with a few teams before then.
Интересно, а фовки, когда показывают карту, там есть инфа по репликатору? Что крафтится? Не обращал внимания.
Picked up 3 kills already, still in the same exact building, same position. They like their spot. They earned that building, and they are going to now continue to use that though. But we're not exactly sure. They don't have.
Да, скоро будем прощаться. Сегодня, в принципе, можно было. Horizon понерфит. Ну, ей ульту уже понерфили. Нормально переключили. 2 хеда, еще ног. Резать не хотят. А вот с двух сторон. Ну а там козел с чержой подстирает. Жестко. Очень жестко. Ну, Дестрой были рядом. Жаль, конечно. Красиво отыграл. Красиво клипнул. Но этого мало. TSM очень широко стоят. Ой, верхас больно. Ой, лестницу пушат. Надо помочь, чтоб не нокнулся. Не успел. И TSM. И другой склад подходит. А чё Джейлинг сделают? Нахуя они въебались?
J-Lings can fight in a pound-for-pound 3v3. They win over TSM, but 100 Thieves has been watching and waiting, commiserating, wondering, should we push this fight? And guess what? There's the 3P from 100T, and they get themselves all the loot.
They were waiting for a while. They looked
Ну, последний подсос выигрывает, как обычно.
Third party at the very beginning for that first fight, and now they found the opportunity. Patience pays off when they were able to wait by the end of that zipline building that you currently see to the north.
That's right. Meanwhile, Satuki from North Emshing going to find himself 2KP. They're in a fight against Godfire, one worse than the new player on this team. Needs to make a play and a half alongside Bin, who is an absolute demon by
С актерами.
And Godfire's going to clean up for now. First elimination on Razy alongside FC Destroy. All 3 members of Godfire alive.
Как тебе продукт? Лан-турнир, где нет полок, чтобы посмотреть отдельно за командами. И первый матч без звука вообще.
You ever thought about competing? You ever heard of ALGS? And wow, he's one of the best players in South America now.
That is so crazy to have that backstory too, to show that you could be good at multiple games out here. You're flexible, literally a professional ditto. As we look at some of the other players now coming in, Moist Esports playing up the high ground. They have not let go of this building as they should. They've been holding it down the entire time because with the crypto drone, they've been able to get the beacons information this entire time. They know that Pobrex has been playing underneath them too, and I believe that Space Station is playing right
разброс будет.
So in this vicinity, you got Pobrex looking at Moist with Space Station playing right underneath them.
That's right. Moist Esports on high ground. And just one quick note on that Bin play and the J-Lings play. We wrote the script here. We were foreshadowing. We hyped up Bin a while ago. He shows up big time in that fight. And of course, we hyped up J-Lings. They win the fight against TSM. Off to a good start.
На эфире с купи пройдут.
Death to the captures curse here as Horizon gets the final elimination on Satuki. North Epshin out again. So another slower start for Apex North.
Подари, в смысле.
Godfire making their way actually right here over to the south side too, getting involved in a lot of these fights now as Exet are still inside of that building. A lot of action happening as Horizon
у меня была, я бы
looking to clean up the last 2 members of Godfire.
Oh my god, the best placed ultimate from Bangalore. It's gonna be Exet. They want some of the knocks.
А тут мухоморы сидят. И не. А них Валькирии не было. Два схвата просто в одной точке похоронились. Вот и весь геймплей. Кэрри, здорово. Алекс молодая. Или не молодая. Дорогая? Сколько она стоит? Что именно в ульте? Через стены не присасывает ульта уже.
playing off that little lip of the high ground too, but there's two other squads in 100 Thieves way if they want to rotate over to the east side into that next circle. Yeah, they got the black market.
Два раза дальше ультимейта рифа и робота. Это вы догадки из инета на искивите? Не, ну про длину зетки я слышал. Видел точнее. В дневниках разработчиков там и индикатор установки. И оказалось, будто длиннее она как-то. Ну и УРС длину телепорта, наверное, тоже могут. Ломали. По таймингу. Вот эта зона. А зона еще пойдет. Стоять неудобно. Опа, а чё это? А чё это справа сольник? Не, команда.
That's the bat right on me. We got a third to the right. Yes, yes, yes. Almost right down. I might go down. I'm good. I'm good. I just need to get this bat off. On me. On me. I need to get this bat off. They broke EMP. Sear's dead. Sear died. We're gonna get thrown in the back. We have to wipe this. On me. Weak, 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 weak. That bag is weak. Dead. Behind us. Turn. Thanks, crack. Thanks, one. Thanks, so fucking weak. Hey, nice try. Made the best out of it. Dude, that fucking body went flying, bro. His body went flying. I couldn't get the armor swap.
And 100 Thieves is going to be eliminated to the hands of Xset right there. A good Valkyrie ult, and they, of course, did everything they could in what was an absolute battle.
That's the scary part, too, when it comes to some of these Valkyrie ults, when you try to get into the fray or you actually get out of a difficult situation when you're playing by the edge. It's E36 that have been holding on to this position, though.
Где А? Я просто смотрю Е36, а где аимбот? Его и показывают. Я норм. Ты как древнерусскую тоску не поймал? Это как?
Team's going to call him off for a second. They hesitate for a moment. Is that enough time to heal up? No, because the Cyril's going to cancel it. PK shot's going to connect.
В целом, Киберпанк посмотрел. Полегчало немного. Мотивашка зародилась даже. Игрушечную собаку на стрельбище видел? Нет. Это в апдейте добавили, что ли, последний?
It's actually beautiful too because it's not only pulling in their direction. I say best foot because they are not only in the circle, but they know that their backs are cleared. Moist, although they do have the high ground right now, you can see that their view is
ремастер 5К?
They have to make the decision. Are they going to try to fully set it to the team fighting to the right?
That's right. It's going to be SSG that decides to push this 3v3. Good shot. The damage is going to be done. Two members going to be knocked. Zanio on Yundi. And just like that, SSG takes out Enter Force 36.
Space Station being able to take that one member though means that E36 have to play this out as a duo. Moist also playing off the south and Polbrex.
Они их закрыли? Не, закрывают.
Duo only two, so we got two duos in this lobby right now.
Look at Xset farming. Here we go, another opportunity. Here comes a push that's going to be for right behind. It's going to be Polbrex decides to take this fight. Moist nearby as well.
А чего Xset так поинтов до хрена?
Two members eliminated. 1v1. SSG wins. Again, but Xset farms. Xset is dominating.
У них матчпоинт будет следующий? Ну да, будет. Не. Пойти назад на пушку. И главное на пушке не улететь.
Pulverex is pulling a trick out of their own bag from Champs. Rats their way to a top 3, potentially top 2, but Xset is dominating.
Saku says nothing to see here. Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
Так, правильно. Занять ХГ. А стоять неудобно. Ой, ты не на фидонь там. А куда за зону? Какую зону? Какую зону? Не-не-не. Поинты все залутают. Плюс и маленький пес.
They're unbelievable. This team is unbelievable. Former Team Liquid roster. You wonder what the heck Team Liquid, how could you let them go? Best team in the world, arguably online. And of course in Pro League, the way they performed, and they are showing it right now, Vicky. They are playing so incredibly well.
Как же этот чел хорош под столом. Бля, прикиньте, ему реально разрешили играть дома. Они вдвоем на лане. И третий онлайн играет. Если так и есть, то это можно замашнить по фулам. Мол, какого хуя тогда СНГ командам не дали поиграть в онлайн режиме. Все из скатерти. Да, вторая игра тоже идет. Тут фанатики первые заняли. Я вторую хочу глянуть. А этому челу не заслали мышку, увы, который разбирает их.
Yeah, it's really interesting because Vicky was like, "Hey, what do they eat for breakfast?" Well, they definitely made me eat my words when I said,
$280 вполне.
So I love to see that. I love when people prove me wrong. So, can they do it again? Is the real question.
And it's no fault to you because XSET has particularly been a team that has had difficulty in going back to back with big wins. They're consistent, Gino, but this is almost like a new version. Is this their moment to kind of say, "Hey, we are here to win this tournament unequivocally and show the doubters that we are the real deal"?
It looked pretty consistent to me. I mean, they won and they got 16 kills. They got another, I think it was 14 kills in that second game. So, I mean,
Вот вопрос, в чем была проблема? Пустить на Twitch. Кстати, может я... На Twitch одну группу, на YouTube другую. Вы один хрен его одновременно запускаете. Когда дропс, если и будут, то в финале.
That is something XSET does not have to worry about. But other teams who are still trying to get there, a few teams playing zone pretty well. I thought we saw Interforce have a pretty decent game. We saw Pulverex do some good zone play, which they're known for. Some of the stars of championships. And we've seen Moist Esports as well, Tiff, really stay involved. Even if they haven't won, they've been making themselves known.
They definitely have. And as I was walking back to the stage, just listening to the comms and seeing how engaged and locked in they are, that is a joy. That's the best part about being on LAN, is being able to witness this. But we just got to see a clip from Jay Lings where they eliminated TSM and they went in super aggressive. Sure, TSM was a little split.
Я сейчас попробую найти другую группу.
But what came next was really exciting. It was that 100 Thieves move, right? They lurked outside that building, TSM.
Опа, а тут лентяй не стримит. АБ.
Dominating, taking a lot of the kills. It's just the zones going well for them, or do other teams need to be a little bit more aggressive?
Тоже АБ.
Some aggressive teams in there. We're seeing a lot of them. They're definitely running into each other early on, right? North Eption going out pretty early, as well as a couple of others. I think Leave No Witness come to mind as well. But yeah, those zone teams really are playing it very well. But as you mentioned, we have had two fairly central zones, to start off with. And when you play zone and it comes towards you, like generally that works out pretty well. It's the more interesting one is almost like, when you get the zone and you're an edge team, you have to think about, do you sit there or do you actually rotate out, try and start gatekeeping?
这个地方也只能往这猜了，说实话，他们跳那儿真的只能往这猜了。而且我们打磨坊的时候，我们就经常。
Это онлайн? Нет, это лайки.
我只能说这波可能是百神又发话呀，百神又下达最高指令。TF， 哎，不行，打完这一轮我不能让他们再记这个阵容，这阵容。
Earlier today, as well as drop, they're feeling good, ready to go, and Interforce, a team representing APAC North. I think.
Боже, что это такое? Либо это сломалось.
我觉得晴雨表，
Нет, сломалось, да.
要带瓦机要早飞的话，你搜也搜不完的。
所以说你不是你带瓦机不一定是为了。
Хотя нет, это поверх экрана летит. Я в
шоке.
шоке.
要不然你这
Как китайцы это смотреть могут? И тут летит.
So that's where things are going to get wild. So they just need to carry that in. Now, granted, that lobby is going to be totally different on Sunday, but we want to see a different zone and for them to run it back. But they have to be feeling confident when you go into those engagements because they're not just winning.
Ладно, жаль, показываю только одну
They
группу.
are farming a third of the lobby every single time. So let's shake it
Финал
up.
когда?
You know, this is land, though. I mean, it's a different environment. Yes, you do well, and you get the hype of the crowd. The same way, if you don't do well, you get the
5 февраля, если не ошибаюсь.
You're like, hey, this is the real deal. Let's talk about 11 through 20, Genome. What's standing out from you from these teams right here?
Well, obviously, we saw TSM get eliminated early on this time. Sure, they got the one squad wipe in the meantime, but you know that's it's not the best for them. Looking around, you've got other teams there who, you know, most.
Xset первое место, киллы еще не посчитали. Посчитали, 54. Тут это ж.
Well, let's take a look at the series results after 2. Xset.
Это же группа.
As you mentioned, Tip, they would be on match point after 2 games. Looking like pulling an ESA in North America. I'm sure the rest of the world would not be happy about that. Everything else, though, pretty central.
Да ладно, если они сегодня все это играют, я не вывезу столько.
Good wins in the first half, but maybe you're stronger on that fan favorite World's Edge, and you just know it. It's so tried and true. It's been in competitive for a very long time.
Ну, групповой сегодня-завтра.
So back half of the set might be better for you.
Let's take a look at that final circle one more time. The way Xset managed it, you thought, okay, this looks like an opportunity.
То есть второй, третий раунд, наверное, завтра
What they
будет,
like to do, which is kind of hide out and make sure they play smart. But Gino, walk us through this last moment. I mean, Sykes, he's been playing phenomenally and such a great addition to Xset. After losing Gilderson's earlier on in the split, and it almost seeming like it spelled trouble for them, they've adapted so well with Sykes.
Yeah, interesting. You know, Gilderson's was such a strong player, but you know, to come out ahead of that roster change and still be, you know, doing this well is honestly pretty amazing. But yeah, this was honestly one of the easier final circles you'll see to play. The other two teams didn't really seem to have a beat on them at all. You can see here they've got a high ground. You know, once space station goes down, we've got Pulverex just wall jumping around. You know, APAC North, they're known for their amazing movement. Those guys.
That is true.
On the M&K,
oh
yeah.
My God,
but like
out.
honestly, as a region, just like next level with that kind of stuff. And you know, they didn't get any kills, right? I don't know. Maybe they just like, you know, had their weapons stowed away and they were just like wall bouncing around. Just that's how they made it into second place. Who knows?
But you know, I like a plan. I like a plan. Even though they didn't get kills, they wanted that placement points. They got 9 placement points, and that's better than a lot of other teams have to do it. Game 2 has just finished. We've got one more game coming up on World's Edge, and it is a doozy. Can Xset go back to back to back? We'll find out in just a minute. Fallout, Vicky, what do you think?
I think yes, personally. They have what it takes. Listen, Rain Day, they've been playing out of their minds, man. It's been fun to watch. Vicky's losing her mind. I'm losing my mind. Vicky, it's day one. We got to control our voices and can't lose them this early. This is a problem.
It's so difficult, though, when you have teams like Xset just out here winning not only back-to-back, but with double-digit KP. Like, are you kidding me right now? Like, it's actually insane to see how successful they've not only been on their rotations, but it's kind of what you mentioned, too, before. They really like those central circles. We were kind of wondering if it was going to pull more towards a launch pad area, maybe in that direction. towards the east side, but it ended up still pulling more to the west in that rock formation where, you know, if you're forced to transcend through that river, you're basically out in the open, and Exet made sure that there was no competition in their way. We had two duos also playing at the very end, minus Space Station Gaming and Exet, so they knew that they had a nice clear path before cleaning up the remaining duos that was left.
Can we take a moment to talk about the Chicago Bulls jersey, though? You know,
yeah, right?
Chicago Bulls, Chicago represented, even though this guy probably has never been to Chicago. I still love to see it, but no, yeah, you're spot on. Here's one thing that's interesting. Despite all the meta changes, despite all of the years that have passed, the new characters added, the one thing that's been a staple since the very beginning in competitive Apex meta, well, it's center map drop spots tend to do well. I mean, you look at TSM early on and Kings Canyon, they dropped Cage, they dominated. They won the first 3 LAN tournaments. You look at them dropping Fragment East originally, they dominated. The reality is, Xset's doing the same thing, dropping Cascade Falls and finding success. But guess what? It's one more game here on Storm Point. The drop ship is flying. We're loading in. One more game on Storm Point. Can Xset go back to back to back? Or will we see the likes of TSM? Maybe even Alliance. They need a big game here. Will they show up? Will they perform? So
we got to see that consistency, follow. We got to see it happen. And this is the final game on Storm Point before we make the transition into World's Edge right now. You want to be able to start off strong, and that's exactly what Exit has done. Like we talked about before, they land in Cascade Falls, and what do you know? There's a beacon right to their north. So they're going to have that information immediately, too.
Okay, where's the beacon? I don't see a beacon.
All the way to the side of the Cascade Falls. Yeah.
Ah,
yeah, you see
northeast. All right. Because guess what? The wall beacon that they've been scanning is not going to be there. I see it. There it is. It's hiding. The wall beacon that they've been scanning is not going to be there. So here we go. Drop zone, or sorry, hot zone again. Going to be in wall and a crafter this time, but no beacon for TSM early. Meanwhile, we're looking at teams.
Чё за уши? Да зачем тебе, Булат? Наверняка есть получше. На туриках в основном используют наушники для шумоизоляции. Сам хочу спать, не понимаю, зачем сижу. Да я вот тоже.
And it also puts things into perspective on the squads that just do better on World's Edge too. Maybe they had a slow start here on Storm Point, but can that transition to World's Edge benefit those squads that are on the end half of the overall leaderboards? As we tune into Moist Esports, they're going to be able to loot up here. Another one of the consistent squads. I mean, we got to talk about it too. Moist has been in the top 5 for both Game 1 and Game 2. Yeah, they've been able to get some KP, and it hasn't been as loud as we've been able to see from Exit out here. But this is another team that has been pretty quick on their rotations. Of course, since they have the crypto, they can get those beacon scans without having to overextend themselves.
Yeah, Moist, another team that does well through early rotates and positioning. Kind of like the guard of Apex South, if you will. You know, obviously you have IBG, Iron Blood Gaming, former Chicken Sandwich. That's the exact opposite. They like to fly at everything they see, play ultra aggressive in that region. Well, Moist does it the good old-fashioned way. Rotate early, and look how fast they just rotated those 3 buildings. Obviously, it's not a named POI. There's not a whole lot to loot, but they're still going to walk out with purple shields in a pretty good position here.
Yeah, you know, you guys saw it at the very beginning, seeing where the circle was going to be pulling all the way towards the west side this time. So I'm expecting a lot of rotation coming out of Checkpoint, leaving through Cascade Falls like we see from Exet. They actually may run into Moist here. You can see Moist actually look in that direction, depending on how quick Exit is with that rotation, but they'll probably also opt to stick on the higher ground from the rotation away from Cascade to overlook the action on those 2 buildings that usually gets hot real quick.
Yeah, that's right. On the flip side, expect the teams that are far from center zone here to just take their time, play edge. And that's what you like. You like seeing teams that can play both and kind of change their play style based on what's in front of them. Godfire dropping fish farms. They have a replicator and a beacon. They're going to, of course, craft up, take their time looting all the southeast. I think they get Gale Station as well. TSM up in wall. We'll do the same thing. Alliance up in Lightning Rod are going to take their time. So you're going to have those 3 teams play a hard edge here. Same thing with SSG, who unfortunately won't get themselves a replicator, but will continue to take their time on rotate.
What's really interesting about this rotation, too, seeing that the circle is going to be pulling all the way towards the west side, is going to be the squads that are going to be able to find their comfort in the edge of the circle uncontested. Looking at Cenote Caves, leaving Barometer, already a fight happening, though, towards the southern side of Mill right now, too. So a lot of action is going to be happening from the teams leaving out of Down Beast, as well as these buildings over here, because sometimes there is a beacon on these buildings, but there actually doesn't look like there is one right now.
That's right. We got a couple teams nearby. We got Leave No Witnesses, Jailings, and Moist on the rotate. The potential 3-way affair, 3-way fight. Will any teams decide to fight, or will they just respect the positioning? Good information is going to be gathered here, while he can from Leave No Witnesses. Meanwhile, Moist right below them. They want to pick a fight.
And they thought this would be clear already off the rip because they were so quick on the rotate, like you mentioned earlier before, but Leave No Witness right now have been inside of this building. The EMP has been unleashed, and they want to take advantage right now, getting the crack already off of one of the Moist boys.
Yeah, and I'm surprised Moist got away with murder right there. I'm surprised they're able to escape and survive. Despite every team being able to focus them, they get away with no knocks and no downs, just a broken shield. Valkyrie. And it looks
Судя по количеству живых, особо контента не было еще. Скучный первый круг, где все сводится, где все ротейтятся. Какой пошел? На жопу смотрели? О. Вот это реакция. Направо посмотрел, налево. Пэшн пока. Zero nothing. 0 point, 0 nothing. Как подходяще.
Talk about a gamer tag, man. Let me just take a look at tools and home repair and then get some inspiration from that and come up with hammer drill. I love it.
Sometimes you just gotta make sure to hammer in the point sometimes when it comes to making sure that you leave a
Да, на жопу. И только ты, да, сказал. Шалун. Остальные скрытые шалуны. Как говорится, счастье любит тишину. Не надо рассказывать. Но за честность спасибо. Я такое больше ценю. Валя, как... Да, Манда играет. Он уже тоже русский. Да, русским Визы.
Meanwhile, Moist finds himself in a good position. They go from being in a really rough spot at that unfavorable choke where exactly where TSM came. So that's what we mentioned. TSM North Epsilon might come through. TSM is now there. Moist, though, was able to make it under bridge. And as weird of a position as this is, we've probably all been there and ranked, and you're like, this is awkward. It's actually a favorable spot. You have a lot of cover and a really beautifully designed bridge. I will say it's some good civil engineering from the Apex Legends level design team, because those ramps that lead underground give you a lot of cover, a lot of ability to head glitch, which, by the way, for those that are maybe new to Apex, head glitch is not a glitch, it's not a bug in the game. It basically refers to using cover for line of sight where only your head is showing, and you can see basically their entire body. They can only see your head, which makes it very hard to hit you. So
hiding your hurt box, it's absolutely huge out here. We saw it actually a little bit during that first game we were talking about in that final fight. TSM with a quick rotate away from that choke point is a smart decision, as you can see the gold knockdown in the hands of Red.
Ничего, Эл. Переведем массу в другое, так сказать. Белково-мышечное.
Interesting rotate from TSM, though. I mean, it's the right decision, but now they're going to have to face a couple teams. Game ward right in front of them, and the long-range poke from North Epsilon is going to give them the intel.
Опа, а что это за аимботы? Сидят, ждут. Два аимбота в одной катке. И никто из них не занял топ-1. Как так? Какая жопа? Ха-ха-ха. Хитро, не-не-не. Я не поведусь на такие байты. Слишком стар для этого. Сам так байтил уже, когда был молод. Голда? Голда задекейнутая. С Даймонда. Я в этом лобби 20-ку фармил. А мне нужны сладкие попки. Но у меня не сладкая. Ладно, я продолжать не буду дальше. Не туда уйдет. По геймплею можешь что-то сказать или еще рано? Какому геймплею? И в целом про комментирование турика? Говорить что-то... Ну, комментирует то, что делают игроки, или... Какой геймплей? Зажали двое за скалой. Еще бы Сирик... Ой, хорошо. Туда, выгоняй их. И там... Сквад должен встречать, но дали смоки. Не видно. Есть два нока. Два нока есть? Да, есть два нока. Все. И третьего сейчас дойдет. Да идут. Да идет. Еще складец. Вот не надо, слышите, за мной повторять. О, иксет. Иксет хотят еще поинтов. Им мало полтинника. Они прям хотят на первом месте удержаться.
looks like Xset's going to potentially do the same thing to E36 that they just did to the unfortunate Dreamfire squad. I mean, they're going to be gate-capped in zone right now. Xset is...
Если наши визы получат, есть варик, что они будут играть? Где? Друг с другом на скамейках зрителей? Уже замену нашли ведь. Я, правда, не могу понять, кто заменил.
I also like this rotation too from E36 just because they opted to take the KP that they already got and wanted to go for the safe rotate instead of putting themselves at risk of getting third party. I mean, Godfire did hear the fight going down, but they didn't want to overextend just yet. It looks like they actually may come across Space Station right now off to the right side. We're gonna see how that's gonna go down as TSM are also looking to rotate away from those two squads.
А, ой, курсор появился. Или он и был? Не, появился, скорее всего.
Japanese squad featuring Pinator, who was a kind of big story going into the champs, but unfortunately wasn't able to compete.
Вот почему его не было. Понял. И чат такой сидит, половине похуй. Или больше, ну короче, одной части похуй, как он появился, а другой такой думает, блять, а реально, как он появился? На третья, какой курсор? Чё несет? Курсор в игре? Крестик? А как ты его поставил? Какая жопа? Это, наверное, единственный турнир по Апексу, который я смотрю и думаю о своем, знаете. Не о том, кто как играет. Нахал на Сирии? Нет. Что он делает? Добегались. Куда это ульта? А вот из зоны принимает. И чё? И чё это было? Геймворд, здравствуйте. Они же их пушили, правильно? Эх, а я бы сейчас карту, вот альтабнулся, грубо говоря. Открыл бы карту, посмотрел, где кто. А, еще склад подсасывает. А, это же геймворды подсосали, а флора здесь за зоной была. Ну, зона вторая, можно и поесть, так сказать. На свежем мясе в зону заходить приятно. Игроки, которые за зоной находятся, скорее всего, будут хилиться. Там с собой болтает, да. Но я его стреляю как автомат пулемета. Потому что они не стреляют как с пулемета. Скаут еще быстрее стреляет. Хотя ладно. Ева быстрая. Но не доел. Настолько аккуратно играет, серьезно. Почему? Ну как не доел, не нокнул.
Ling's also cleaning up another team out here, actually taking care of one of the members of Xset Fund going down out here.
А что это за зона? Пустырь, который справа вверху будет. Вот сюда. Куда уйдет? Втонуло просто глубоко. А хотя они же могут сами эти круги регулировать. Блять, если круг они захотят на воду увести на мост, вот сюда. Вот сюда-нибудь, куда-нибудь. Вот так шифтанет. Больше половины передохнет. А, 15 складов уводите. Хотя ладно, пока сейчас сводиться будет. Тут из пятнашки останется 10, наверное, от силы. Че, веснет? Стрим лагает? А, лайкер, все-таки смотришь? Ебать, что это? Странно, вроде не сильно лагает. Как мне отследить, что лагает? Я уже и битрейт поставил 6. Подвисает? И насколько часто?
Very interesting because you got to think about the rock and then the mill obviously being in the middle of that circle and where it's going.
Оставьте, оставьте, хочу следующий круг увидеть. Давай на мост. Не понял. А, это ульта лобы, блять. Ай, я еблан. Налево вообще. А ты, Лакер, думал, сюда пойдет, да? Вот сюда. Но тут условный опен тоже есть. Ну, удобно играть тут. Жаль, не на мост. Да. Жаль, меня лоба забамбузлила. Чтобы курсор бить. На дом на воде, который справа. Двухэтажный. Высокий двухэтажный. Зона туда, куда я думал. Пиздишь. Ты думал на правый дом, не на левый. Вот пока ты думаешь и угадываешь зоны правильно, они за тебя играют, Лакер. А мог сам. Ну, так справа здание. Вот здание, вот он забор, вот он вход. Ну, все идеально сходится. Ты про этот дом думал? Вот про этот. Забор, здание, вход. Отмазываешься просто. Где ты тут забор увидел, блядь? Бублик? Это не бублик, это сосок. Один, второй. Макс, здорово. Кейт, привет. На левый сосок, так бы и сказал. А чё Ешка делает? Они до того там сидеть собрались? Опа, ну да. Закрыли. Не зря один нокнулся. А прикинь, кушку на Horizon дать снизу. Он живет? А как он не... Ладно, он хитшилд успел открыть. Ресалку вызывать, чтобы крытие дополнительное было. They called in the mobile respawn to make up some extra makeshift cover right here, playing on the edge of this building to at least, if they can, play behind it if another grenade gets tossed in their direction. That's right. Good decision here. Will allow them to use additional cover, maybe a little head glitch if they can. А у них Horizon нет, как им повезло. Horizon бы лифт из дома дала и выплюнул был всех на крышу. А знаете, как еще Horizon могут понерфить? Чтобы она через стены и через, ну, через потолки, грубо говоря, ушкой не проходила. Мол, если в здании кинул, то все, в здании она осталась. Выше по этажам не пошла. Можно еще так же понерфить. Может, Лакер Дисы будет говорить? Да что он будет говорить? Он не хочет. Ему скучно смотреть это. Нихуя, по дому шифтанул. Ну, если хочешь, Лакер, я могу предпросмотр в Дискорде включить, будем вместе смотреть. Я не уснул. Сира удалить из игры. Я честь не против был. Пока ем, пока приятно. А то мой дух. Куда ты на ночь глядишь? Собрался. Не кламбить, блять, внутрь зайдите нахуй. На козырьке стоит.
Can you hear me? Yeah, done. Yeah, get a fence. Wait, they shoot our roof. They shoot our roof. I need heal. Careful. One team dead. We're still top 5. Got knocked, didn't they? I think so. My drone's broken at the moment. There's a team on the roof. Team on the roof. I don't know how many. There's a bank team. Full team got him.
That was the best rotation that Moist could have asked for. Pulverex drops on top of him, gets beamed by the lobby, and Moist is able to get all the loot in the world. A poor rotation right there for Pulverex, but they really had no other choice likely.
У них зона позже пойдет, по идее, в отличие от того дома. Им нужно внутри сидеть. Да не трогайте, они вам крышу выбивают. У них зоны не будет все равно. Альянсы, кстати, одного забрали.
First team to do it, find success. 5 teams, make it 4 teams remain in this lobby. Moist Alliance are 2 of them. Would love to see who the others are. I believe it's North Epson and I think E36 with a team of 2.
Yes, enter Force 36 out here too as a team of 2 playing on the edge of that circle.
Ой-ой-ой, опасно.
Taking the cheeky angle on the high ground right now. It's reception that's actually.
Ты им катушку оставил? Что это произошло? Он внизу катушку поставил и ушел? Ой, а им подводит. Стикнул? Не, застанил. В щель. Они вдвоем живут. Альянсы выиграть могут, кстати. Если они успеют отхилиться. А, нет, 2 в ноке. Манда разруливает. Ха-ха, их катушка съела ракеты. Не? Тянет время. Нарцы выиграли. Десадер. Он просто... А, там геймпад. Ну, у этого я хз, что за мышка. They possibly could, but in the end, North Epson plays low ground so well. Moist takes second with quite a bit of KP as well.
And Moist still continuously staying consistent the last 3 games. They've been top 5. Game 3, I mean, you gotta see, you gotta give up the hype out here. You like the energy?
The double thumbs up move.
Yeah.
I like the double thumbs up move. I'm a big fan of that. I want to see some more flexing, you know, from Pulverex.
Gotta give it to the pop-offs.
Until then, double thumbs up will be okay. Nice job, as you see. Japan, such a controller-dominant region. Yeah, nice little skin there.
I like that controller.
Me too. I'm a fan. Well done, well played from North Epson. Again, they were in 10th, 11th place, maybe 12th place. They needed a
тренер заводной у них, конечно.
Showing up in game number 3. That'll help them significantly. But look, that's gonna be it for Vicky.
Почему карта такая маленькая, очень плотно все? Ты шутишь? Это, по-моему, самая большая карта среди всех, что есть в Апекс.
London Copper Box Arena. Make some noise for Fallout and Vicky Kitty. Great cast.
Oh.
We'll see you a little bit later.
Не надо серы удалять, ясно. Мейнеры в чате. Лакер, ты так нам и не сказал, куда собираешься.
In the house, you'd love to see it. Northeption, a team that in APAC North actually took second place overall in their finals before they came here in terms of points. And it was a great performance from them. It was one that went 14 games long, but you can see that they know what it takes to win, Tiff, and that's something they proved today, even over a very well-performing Moist Esports.
Look, I'm so excited. I was asked earlier what my teams to watch were on Twitter, and it is NTH, straight up, through and through. Fire Beavers tweeted out as well that they are in support of Northeption, and I could not be more excited to see them show out on top. Now, I know Genome has been waiting to roll me on my POV of this.
Look, I believe in Northeption as well, right? If they're taking a team fight, I think this is going to be one of the times.
Я также, кстати, сижу практически, как игрок справа.
Yeah, I swear to God, this team is allergic to the zone, right? They run in the opposite direction to it as often as they can, because they always want to be fighting someone. They would prefer it to be in a nice isolated spot at the edge of the zone, and as a result, they just seem to take fight after fight, and it's rare that you'll see them, in the end game like that. But we can see that if they do get there, they can play it smart. They were underneath Moist there, and you saw Moist were just waiting, hoping that those grenades would finally finish off Alliance so that they could worry about the team underneath them. But unfortunately, they just managed to hold on just long enough, and then Northeption kind of had the cleanup from there.
Waltzy so close in finishing it off. It was Northeption with a win in Game 3. But overall, we thought it might be XSET going back to back to back. Not this time around. No TSM either. Alliance, though, woke up. And again, I kind of want to go back to you, Genome. I've been talking about Moist Esports. They didn't win there. But this is a team now, I think they've almost put themselves in a position to be fourth, third place heading into the final 3 games. That is a strong performance from a team that had a lot of fan favorites back in Championship. Formerly Team Burger, now representing Moist Esports very well.
If I'm not wrong, I think they got top 5 in every single game so far, and that just shows how good a zone team they are, right? Their comp is tailored from that. They switched over to the crypto partway through split 1 just to really solidify that play style that they
Просто 4-й нужен, когда трое нокнулись. Поднять.
I mean, if you put all 40 teams at the LAN on a spectrum, right, from the most hardcore edge teams to the most safe zone teams, Moist would probably be in, I'd say, the top 5 teams who really like to just bank it straight for that end zone.
4-й также майнит.
In a game exactly like this.
Майнит следующую зону.
I mean, Tiff, I'd love to see them going up against Ascend, another great zone team that we are waiting to see. They're playing in C&D now, but overall, I mean, looking at this, yes, we've seen some damage at the top, but this was a game where some teams who needed to step up and get some points found a way to do it, and heading into World's Edge, that's got to give some teams a boost as well.
Yeah, I think that the teams that kind of warmed up this game are doing exactly with how it mirrored their performance in ALGS Split 1 Pro League. Right. Alliance, they didn't have the best match day number 1.
Все геймпады.
Then they started heating up and getting more comfortable. They came back, won match day number 2. You look at Northeption, they came from the preseason qualifiers. They won the second preseason quals.
Норс, а где Экс? О, а их нет вообще.
Look what happens when they start heating up. 23 points there, and that's exactly what you need to do. And you talked about Moist Esports making it the longevity, right, Genome, but not getting the eliminations. They actually picked up quite a bit because they were able.
И 12 место полутали.
Yeah, I'd say 6 for a second place team is like, it's okay.
Без киллов.
But you don't often see them pick up those big bags of kills. I mean, seeing an XSET come out on top and getting a 14 kill rate.
TSM с хорошей игрой, потом 16 место 3 килла. 17
the issue too, I think you're bringing up as we head into some of the teams on the back half of this board, 11 to 20. Some of the problems are if you do play so zone heavy, Genome, and when you win, you only win.
Но тут их за зоной, кстати,
instead of the
запушили.
28, instead of the 32. Match point, it's still going to be difficult for you to break.
Так, что у нас тут? Crazy Raccoon.
It's a group stage you're talking about. Winning is probably enough to get you through anyway. If you're looking at that on.
Круто, конечно, можно посмотреть.
When it comes to match point, you need to get there quickly, and those kills become a lot more important when you're capitalizing and just trying to bank those 50 before you go for gold. So, yeah, the teams in the bottom 10 here, obviously, not right on that pace right now.
Tiff, I want to talk a little bit about TSM. They started off really strong. I think they were almost ramping up. XSET then took over the Thunder, and it feels like since then TSM have had a couple of difficult fights. 1 point there leading out in Game 3. World's Edge, Will they be able to pick it up? I know a lot of people talking about them being #1 in the world, but now they've got to prove it here in these last 3 games.
Well, let's just talk about Lava Siphon. That's the
Раз, Парха, Whisper.
They feel incredibly confident there. They've been chowed all throughout scrims, and they have defended Lava Siphon. And teams like IG, which are, you'll see them competing against them later, tried to split Lava Siphon.
Да ладно, или их нет просто.
Held strong. That is their POI. But you're right. They were in the bottom half of match number 3, and I feel as if they make kind of some.
Вы верите в это?
Or they go the distance and pick up everything. It's like something simple that they're like, oh, that was a misstep, and then they go out on their first fight.
And I honestly think that Lava Siphon is.
Максу, по идее, должны были найти замену, потому что в прошлый раз они также без Макса играли. И контроллер нормальный импакт вносил.
So yeah, I think the change from going, from Storm Point over to World's Edge is going to be a massive boon for TSM, because you walk out of there with like 3 purples, like gold attachments. You've got you get the hot zone half the time. This place is just insane.
You walk out there just looted, ready to go. Let's take a look though at the final circle after the loot was done, and it was just about hitting your shots, which, as we do have to remind you, sometimes it's just deciding who wins the game. It's not always all the tactics and all the great play and where you land. Somebody who just hits those prowler shots might end up winning. It was a little bit more complicated here because Alliance was threatening the other side of the circle, but they were also low, and it forced Moist Esports actually.
Блин, такие турниры на самом деле мировые очень классные, потому что если игроки стримят, ты потом их находишь через турниры. Вот за Юкой смотреть начал. После какого-то там турнира. Наверное, и меня бы так смотрели. Если бы я турики играл и выиграл.
End up taking a better trade there because they get the 2 kills of the knocks that they had for Alliance, and they get the extra 2 points from going.
Самый комфортный чел, перс в игре, без него как без рук. Это отчасти хреново. Гораздо круче, когда ты флексом можешь быть. Палка мобильный не доживет до каких-то либо чемпионатов. Там, по-моему, были турики.
Oh my gosh, this is the first time we're going to see World's Edge on land, so literally anything can happen. But when I think about World's Edge, this has been in competition for so long. The POIs themselves are closer together. You don't have those big, long, open rotations where if you're running a charge rifle or a sentinel, you can kind of get some farming damage. You may be able to look and get a good chunk of information because you're going to see further, but you have smaller rotations. So I think that's going to be favored. So maybe the people that play zone are going to just hit it quick.
Certain teams like Pulverex as well. I'll get your thoughts in just a little bit, but Pulverex actually having a 60%, 57% to be accurate, win percentage in certain areas on World's Edge. So hopefully that improves, as well as some of the teams that desperately need the points. We're coming back and we're taking a trip, not from London, we'll still be here, but to World's Edge in-game. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more ALGS Split 1 playoffs.
Herman Miller Gaming is the official chair partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Была бы большая аудитория у нас на канале, ребят. Вы бы у них в чате там все захватили. Лозунгами Гладиаторс, Аврора, Firebeaters. Ну да, фанстрайк, я вот и с вопросиком чем занимаются. Я СНГ. Визу не получили, увы.
WD Black is the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to the ALGS Split 1 playoffs. And as you can tell, the accents are a little bit more local. You've got Onset and you've got Gaskin in the booth. London, you are sounding beautiful, by the way, and it's our turn now to take you through what is going to be the final 3 games of today. Dan, let's talk about what we've seen, though. Storm Point, done and dusted. It's time for us to move over to World's Edge.
It is, and that means it's far more comfortable for a lot of these teams. Actually, 14 of the 20 teams in this lobby statistically were far better throughout regular season when it comes to World's Edge. So we're going to start to see maybe more traditional rotations, more traditional setups, a lot of late-game fights that are going to come right down to the wire, and a few teams that might be able to pick up points in those big moments to try and progress in this table.
And I mean, starting off the day, we were on Storm Point, obviously, and we were a little bit worried it was going to be NA all day, with Exit going back-to-back, TSM having that big game one as well. But we saw a little bit of international flavor come back to the fore with Norception with the win, and of course, Moisture in behind them in second place. Dan, great to see the universal kind of Apex community coming together there and seeing a little bit of those different regions popping up when they need to.
And I think we needed it in this group. We couldn't allow one team to just start running away with it. Otherwise, then teams are looking at, you know, maybe we can pick up points at second place. Maybe we have to go over to World's Edge and hope that something's going to happen to Exit. Bad news is that Exit actually very good at World's Edge as well. They had so many points in the regular season, so it's not like they're going to drop off suddenly getting into World's Edge here. But I think the bad news for Exit is everyone else should now be getting far better, and maybe those land jitters are going to be starting to fade away as well.
100%, that's a big thing, right? We always talk about that, the land jitters, you get those out of the way. Game number 1, it seemed like TSM really didn't have any with those big fights that they won, but everyone's starting to grow into this lobby a little bit. Like I mentioned, you saw Norception with that win in the last game. A lot of KP to go alongside it as well.
Надеюсь, он эту мышку прокачал, потому что первый дроп Final Mouse такой себе был. Там что-то с кликами. Траблы. Но в основном вроде норм. Кстати, через прошивку. Через прошивку поправили.
Dropped out, so now we have teams replacing them. They could throw a little bit of a spanner in the works here. We believe we might see contests down in Thermal between Alliance and Flora. We know full well that Alliance have dominated Thermal for the last few years, right? Suddenly someone coming to try and take that drop spot off them, they are not going to be happy about it, so we will keep an eye on the southwest side of World's Edge and see whether that does go down.
We've seen Alliance holding off a few contests in the international scrims at the build-up to this event as well, but we'll have to keep an eye, of course, like you say, on Thermal Station to see if that fight does go down. But looking across the teams that we've got on our stage here, you can see 100 Thieves, they're going to be ready, but a little bit quiet from them so far today.
It has been a little bit quiet, and perhaps that can just be down to maybe poor performances on Storm Point throughout the season. It's not exactly comfortable for them. World's Edge should be better, but when you look across this whole lobby, you can say that for so many of them now, you can't really rely on one map. As we progress through this tournament, through playoffs, you've got to be good on both, especially when we start to talk about match point later on Sunday. You can't just be good at one, because let's say you get onto match point and then you go over to Storm Point, things are going to really be struggling for you. So you've got to make sure you're consistent across both, and it is certainly a good way to start the tournament if you can find said consistency during the groups.
And we have seen that consistency start to come to the fore for a lot of the teams who are at the top of those leaderboards across their respective pro leagues across the world, because we have just played more games on Storm Points with more competitive lobbies. And as you see those strategies develop, you see teams who want to hit certain rotations, what spots they want to hold, whatever it might be.
is the number.
And even to a point where teams giving up early zone saying, wait, we can't get hit to this zone. If you're dropping down on the south, we know how hard it is to rotate to the north, and going, this is going to be a KP game for us. We can't expect to win it. We've got to play for points and see if we can get out of this situation.
And you speak about playing for points, and we can look at, how people achieved points. Was it via kills? Was it via placement? Two teams I want to point out in this lobby that I think are going to be a big factor on how the lobby actually plays out is TSM and J-Lings. And the reason being is they are two of our highest kill percentage teams in this lobby when it comes to World's Edge. And traditionally, we wouldn't necessarily think of TSM as a kill-heavy team, but we know now, as a kind of flex edge team, they like to take these fights now. Ever since kind of Raven came into the mix, and they've completely changed how things have gone, they are destroying these World's Edge lobbies when it comes to kills. And that's going to make things a little bit more difficult for people on their rotations, right? If you've suddenly got TSM and J-Lings running around just trying to kind of collapse on you, that rotation's not going to be comfortable.
That's very, very true. And of course, know, they've managed to completely and
qadRaT.
POI as well that they drop at. Now TSM, Lava Siphon. We saw a couple of maybe teams having a look at it. We saw Dark Zero have a little pop. They backed off of it in the international scrims. We saw a couple of other teams. IG had a little bit of pop. They're not going to be there anymore. So they can have complete dominance over one of the strongest POIs on the map, which is why we are seeing such a big point, you know, return from them across these lobbies. But there's a couple of other teams that I want to keep an eye on here as well. And SSG are one. SSG we kind of never really talk about at the forefront, but after one game they were at the top of the leaderboards, a little bit quiet in the next two, but I still feel like there's something to be proven here for SSG. Even if you're kind of hearing the mumblings and the rumors, this team is here on LAN. 3 players sat next to each other that played together for such a long time. I want to see him prove a point here.
Yeah, I mean, you can go into mumblings, you can go into rumors, but at the end of the day, everyone is still competitive and will focus on the task at hand, and that is getting a victory. Because regardless of what might happen afterwards, as long as you can actually get something done here and now, you could walk away as champions. And then, you know, maybe those mumblings and rumors might suddenly dissipate and won't actually happen. I will say for SSG, when it comes to their landing spot as well, I feel like they should have a pretty comfortable rotation into the center of the map. Mainly because when you look at teams that are around them, they're going to be rotating quite quickly as well. As will a lot of this lobby, it has to be said. And back to TSM and their Lava Siphon drop, they also have quite a comfortable rotation when it's in the middle of the map as well, because they'll be next to Pulverex. And we know Pulverex are such a zone-based team. You even saw it in some of the games on Stormpoint. Yeah. They wouldn't even get kills. They were just getting to that final 3. They want points, they want to get into the finals, and they want to make sure they are there on the last day.
And speaking of Pulverex, guys, good to see them with 3 players on stage, isn't it? I've got to say, they were the heart. I mean, there were some amazing teams at the ALGS Championships that we had in Raleigh earlier in the year, but earlier last year, I should say. We were in a new year.
Ну, видят, ну, волосы поправляют, видят.
I mean, there was one of the biggest stories coming out of it, wasn't it? It was the Pulverex heart. They were the heart of the tournament.
Хотел посмотреть, конечно, многим хотелось. Добрячок такой
But
сидит.
now they have that 3-player lineup. They're going to be here looking to cause some problems. And speaking of problems, this man's caused a few so far today. Sykes on your screen. I mean, he has been beaming as we take a look at some of the highlights that we've seen from xSet so far.
Yeah, considering the hardships that xSet had to face so far this tournament, it doesn't seem to have phased them whatsoever. In fact, some might say they look even a little bit better. They look even more comfortable. But honestly, incredible the first 2 games that we saw on Stormpoint. Okay, it was quite favorable for them in terms of where the circle was going. It was a very central location. They dropped very central at Cascade Falls as well. But you look at the team fights, you look at how they achieved some of these games. It is not an easy victory that was presented to them. They had to fight hard to make sure they won these games.
They did, and they put up a huge amount of kills alongside it as well. And that man on your screen, fun is fun to watch.
Пирожок такой
One thing
довольный.
that I saw him, I'm not very good at lip reading, but this one was pretty simple. After game number 2, saw him turn to his right and just go, too easy. Too easy. That's how he's feeling right now. And to be honest with you, my question to you, Dan Gaskin, is that seat in the middle is empty. Nox seems to be playing pretty well, calling some pretty good zones, you know, marshalling the troops.
Да как сказать? У них ровные. Таким горшочком. Стрижка. У меня в школьные времена такая была прическа.
I will say though, in terms of like saying, you know, it's so easy, we're getting back-to-backs, confidence, everything. We talk about it so much in Apex Legends, whether it's going into a fight, whether it's calling a rotation, whether it's making sure that you have the right zone locations, you always need to be confident in every decision you make. And if you are going into those fights thinking, yes, we can win every single engagement, people are going to run away from you. Because you can see it in people's movement. If someone is literally beelining towards you, you can very honestly tell they are going to try and kill us. And sometimes you just got to try and get out of that because you know how difficult it is when you're on the back foot in some of these engagements.
Yeah, and I've got to give a shout as well. Hot Sick behind them.
Вот Сабуров реально.
All of Apex Legends making some great calls for them in the build-up. This preparing his team in the way.
С этого ракурса прям вообще идеально похож.
Really excited to see xSet picking up that prowler because that has been a sleeping giant. A little bit of a buff recently that we saw, and let me tell you, if you've got that in the hands of Sykes and he is in a 1v1 engagement, it's not going to take him too much time to put someone on their back.
It's also very quite entertaining to watch that as soon as a gun gets
Молодой еще, щетина даже не лезет.
seems to adapt and instantly is a god with it as well. It doesn't seem to matter what weapon is going to be the best in their hands. They will always find a way to pick it up and put it to good use. That being said, if you do find yourself maybe with not one of the
Разобного. В группе ВК посмотри его. Там новость должна быть про патч этот.
And even that little shift, right, moving certain weapons into the crafter, you know, the car was at the front end of all of the SMGs when it came to whoever was picking it up, especially if you had the roller in your hand. You were picking up that car. Now that that's put in there alongside this scout, it means there's a little bit of a change up in some of the longer distance weapons that we're seeing. Some of the chip damage, the Evo shield, kind of boosting weapons, if you want to call it that. We're seeing the 30-30 come to the fore a little bit more. Of course, the charge rifle is still going to be big in those long-range battles and engagements. But it's interesting to see the Volt coming back into the fore as well, Dan, as that lead SMG for a lot of these players.
Yeah, it is, because otherwise, you know, if you get too stuck and hell-bent on playing one particular style with one particular gun, you are going to get to a point when as soon as these changes happen, you don't really know where to go. So that's why these players are always making sure they are picking up every single weapon. They are at the very best with anything that may be in their hands. And it's incredible to see the consistency from players regardless of what they're using.
Well, it looks like we've got a little bit of an issue on stage at the moment, a technical issue. We're going to try and get that sorted as quickly as we can. But in the meantime, we'll take a quick look at the wonderful faces here in the
Блять, я бы сейчас открыл,
But we're
кстати.
going to take a break in the meantime. When we get back, we'll have that game ready for you. We'll see you in just a moment.
Monster Energy, the official energy drink of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Не понял, что картинку так растянуло? Ладно. Была нормальная до этого. Ну вот, обновление второе. Карта Олимп, паблики и рейтинг. И все, походу.
Is the official chair partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, everyone, to the AOGS playoffs. Split one, of course, is done and dusted, and when it's time for us to wrap things up, Dan, hopefully we can get into the game as soon as we can. We've seen some store points.
Ну, в рейтинговых тут, то есть перезайду, может, по-другому.
Let's talk about leaderboards. Let's talk about who's performed. Let's talk about who's been a little bit quiet so far today, Dan. We've seen Exit obviously popping off a little bit, and I'm sure that everyone in London has enjoyed that as well. But who are the teams you've got your eye on? Who needs to step it up a little bit as we go into our final 3 games?
It's not looking great for Oxygen, for example. Oxygen have been somewhat underperforming, haven't really been able to get into those late game situations, and have not been able to replicate the success we saw at regular season on Stormpoint. And it doesn't get much better when we look at World's Edge, because Oxygen really underperformed in World's Edge throughout regular season. I mean, only 39% of their points were actually from World's Edge. So they have to find something different here on LAN. And it's all well and good for us to talk about the teams that are successful on World's Edge, the teams that are gonna be good on World's Edge. But actually, I want to look at the teams who need to be good on World's Edge, because these guys know how to play it, right? This is not a new map for them. Yes, they may have struggled. Yes, they have not found a victory on this map yet throughout regular season, as well as 4 other teams in this lobby have not found a victory on World's Edge. But it can all change at LAN, and that can very much change your momentum.
Yeah, if you get to LAN and you get that first win, then you're like, I don't care that I didn't get any Pro League, to be honest, because these are the ones that matter. These are the kills that matter. And
еще один Final Mouse user.
Right now, you got Hill in the middle, the IGL, the man who's making the calls for his team. And I gotta say, I spoke to him earlier. I said, Hill's looking trim, man. He's looking in good shape. And he was like, dude, I've been putting in the work.
He's trying to look more like you, it would seem. Just trying to...
Never try and do that.
No, never tried, but
no,
he's
you
looking...
just end up losing all your hair.
В группе нет инфы про патч.
But I will say that
новая карта.
these teams who haven't found wins,
Ой, новая карта.
right? I'll be honest. X, Godfire, Oxygen,
Ранкет на Олимпе и в Квиках Олимп вернули.
Won a single map on
Качалось?
Edge throughout regular season. That would suggest that they are all going to struggle when it comes to World's Edge. But if we suddenly see them get, you know, a top 5, a top 3, you start to get that belief back in your system that, okay, maybe we can win these team fights. But we've seen throughout regular season, top 3s are great, but actually suddenly your composition is very important once we get to that level.
Yeah, it certainly is indeed, and we are seeing, you know, 100 Thieves, for example, we were talking in the build-up discussion among ourselves why they've had so many kind of top 5 placements, but not being able to convert those into wins throughout the season. And we were kind of looking at Newcastle as a pick in their composition. Does that offer offensively on a Legend what you need to be able to win those engagements in the end game? And it seems you saw them on Storm Point, a little bit of a change from them. Maybe they were thinking the same kind of thing, and we'll have to see if that does develop and if that's going to bring a little bit more success to them in those end games. Well, thank you again for joining us. This is where we find ourselves. If you're just joining us, where have you been? We've only got 3 maps left today. Down in 3 games to get through, and you can see the winners of our first 3 games there.
Нигде почему-то нет, кстати.
Excuse me, with the back-to-back. Northception though with that win in that game at number 3.
And that will give Northception now so much belief going into 4 to 6 that they can make a difference in this lobby, and it's not going to be a walk for exit.
Край света в ранкеде.
Finally a different winner will say, all right, okay, it's not just going to be an exit walkthrough. We can match them. What did Northception do that was different to what we've been achieving? Now we've got a new map as well, so we can really change things up. And we're going to have to see whether anyone is just going to take this game by the scruff of the neck, because at the end of the day, you're not going to get that many games to prove yourself here, and then suddenly you could be dropping into the elimination.
That's a big thing as well, isn't it? You know, you get to this stage of the LAN environment, you've been waiting for this time, you arrive, you fly in, all of this, and all of a sudden 3 games have already gone here in group stages, A versus B. Yes, there's a lot of games to go, of course, but you would be surprised as a player how quickly those games can disappear in front of you. All of a sudden you're like, oh, we've just arrived, and then you're like, wait, we've had 2 groups already done. Like, we've got 1 more opportunity. We could be in the elimination bracket. All these things start to catch up with you extremely quickly. So every single game that we see here at the Copper Box in London is massive for these teams. You cannot take your foot off the gas.
Yeah, 1 minute you're asking for ammo, the next minute you're asking for another drink from the air hostess, and you're back on the plane. It is that quickly getting in front of you, and we'll have to see whether any of these teams are just going to grab this game, you know, they are going to make the difference, because otherwise...
это кастомная Viper Ultimate, походу, у него.
You have sleepless nights where you say, oh, I wish we had done X, Y, or Z. Never leave yourself in that situation.
Что-то парень в тильте.
Take risks at times. We do certainly see very different performances from teams on LAN compared to online. On Storm Point, we were seeing teams share buildings for like the first time.
I was like, wait, people are coexisting?
Exactly, it just didn't happen online because people were maybe a little bit more confident in their fights because they don't have that extra pressure of the extra prize money, of the people watching them. But then suddenly everything changes at LAN.
Well, the great thing is as well, you got to remember, this is not just a LAN environment, this is $1 million. And speaking of cool stuff as well, look at these beautiful chairs we've got on stage as well. Herman Miller Gaming Embody chairs are being used at today's event. Check out the new colorways on Embody Gaming online. The new colors have a white base with Galaxy and Amethyst. I can't say that word properly. Upholstery, but I tried my best, Dan. Herman Miller Gaming is the official chair partner of the Apex Legends Global Series, and I got to say, those things, they look comfy.
They are comfy. I sat down on one and my back, I think, was instantly healed, and I realized that how bad my posture has been for the last 28 years or so when I started gaming. But very excited when this eventually gets under the way. These guys, I've been waiting a little bit of a time now, and I'm sure they're going to be hoping it gets underway soon too.
Yeah, I've got to get one of these chairs, by the way, because I've got to that age now where when I stand up, I make that noise. You know that noise? And I didn't mean it's like an unnatural way. It's become natural.
Пардон, я думал, я переключил сцену.
22 and below, let's just say that. Anyway.
It's a noise that your parents made and you always made fun of them.
Yes, exactly. And now I'm feeling drafts as well. But now I'm hearing in my ears, everybody, you can hopefully
Донатный экран.
Pretty soon. We're about a minute away from the
Можно, почему нет?
The players are starting to get locked in, and we've got 3 more games today, everybody. It's been amazing that you've
Край света, погнали.
So I need everybody in the Copper Box to give me everything for 3 more games of action.
Я после первой игры хотел уснуть. Сука, ну нахуя ты жрешь? У нас 10 часов вечера. О, край света. Круто, только нахрена вы нам показываете 4-й сезон?
I'm getting them going, Dan. Well, they're getting me going. Here we go. The Copper Box is starting to pop off because they know the dropship is about to travel across World's Edge.
and we get to see some guns firing and some bodies dropping.
And are we going to see that contest happening in Thermal Station? That's the big one for me, because if it does happen, then suddenly we're going to see all hell break loose. Our Alliance going to be challenged. Will Alliance then take Thermal really by the scruff of the neck?
Hey, we've got a couple of people flexing in the crowd there. I'm going to say that Hummel shirt is pretty tight, but anyway, let's look across at some of the other people that are here.
Пивасик попивает.
And shout out to you, London. The next 3 days are going to be even bigger and better. And I tell you what, 3 more games today, Dan. I gotta say, it's great to be back on land, brother.
I will say, UK crowds never disappoint. It doesn't matter what the game is, they always turn up.
We're not biased.
Чел такой сидел, сначала потом начал стесняется двигаться.
Well, here we go then, everybody. The wait is over. To the left-hand side, I can see that drop ship is moving. And it's time for us to get into this game. Let's
Апекс сломали. А вы обновили, кстати? Удалила год назад, не работает.
Focus on Thermal Station.
I want to see what happens at Thermal between this contest. Alliance and Flora are
Леонов облизывают. Кого? То одни говорят ТСМ, ты говоришь Леонов.
Here and now. And whoever wins this one, it's going to set a precedent for the next 3 games.
Well, hopefully we can see that fight going down as quickly as possible, but this is where the players.
Что там во второй группе?
This is where they're spreading out, and no surprise that we're going straight over to Thermal Station. Hackis, he's found himself a peacekeeper, which is a wonderful thing.
А, они уже начали. О, фанатики, анлаки. 16 местом откисли. И чё? Контест наверх? А кто Альянсов хочет?
Like they're trying to juggle a couple of armors outside as well, and this could be big. Looks like the plan might be to queue up all together, take this fight, get some damage down, and then if they have to fall, there's an armor swap waiting there for them to try and stabilize for a few moments. But this is a big moment for both of these teams. Like we said, every game, massive hit.
Arcstar on one side, and then the lift comes up the other side, and this is the engagement they want. The longer this fight goes on, the less likely these teams are to win this game, because you are just delaying your looting possibilities here.
Well, you saw them. Manny took damage, so he had to think about taking that Horizon Q a second time. They decided now is not the time to push, and now they have that on cooldown. They do not have that ability to take the high ground. You ask what the weaponry is going to be like on the other side of things, we can see just an L-Star to work with here for Pinnatl.
Yeah, I think ammo might be a bit scarce for Flora here, so they will have one opportunity, you'd imagine, to win this engagement.
И что они делать собираются?
But considering where they are in Thermal right
Хрена,
now,
я, кстати, не знал, что здесь сидеть
if they
можно.
try and run, they're instantly going to get shot. So this is going to be a huge decision from these IGLs of when they want to take this fight and how they want to take this fight. Of course, Alliance will be waiting for the next Horizon Graviton lift here to make sure they can get up and they can get involved again.
Well, is this going to be take 2? Is it going to be more successful, or is it going to be a case of just waiting this one out, waiting for some opening damage? But a lot of pressure actually coming in, of course, from the substitute, which is going to be Mandy. He's the man who's playing Horizon, and you can see that Yuki's trying to cause a distraction here. He's going to hit the Jets and try and get up high. Now the fight comes in. Flora trying to hold.
Flora trying to hold and will slightly push them back, but I don't think they can get up again, and now Flora will get the opportunity to reset once more.
Не бери армор пока. Но они на ресы их будут выбивать, что ли, байтить?
What are the meds like on either side as well? Because this might be a smarter game plan than we're giving them credit for. Doing damage, knowing how many meds are going to be at the top of that central structure here, the drill structure inside a thermal station. If they can burn through the meds, chip away the damage, it means that Flora at some point on that high ground will be sitting ducks or forced to fight, and that looks like what Flora are trying to do here.
Альянсов? Так никто их не обсасывает, их просто показали. Так и с минус. Одно хп. Ну, у Манды больше хп. Манды должен вытащить.
Good news for both teams. No one in the vicinity to try and third party this fight, so this is a completely isolated 1v1, but you have to say the advantage is surely with Manny, the sub. It's filling in here for Alliance. Go up, but now he's down to no HP, and Alliance are out!
Oh.
The great battle to the thermal station, and the entirety of the southwest of the map is now theirs because everyone else on the map has now.
Ну, один из ярких моментов, конечно, будет этого турика.
With this circle, we are going all the way up to Climatizer. About 10 of our teams have already found themselves within Climatizer, but it is going to be Flora who get point number 1 in what is going to be a very interesting battle across these next 3 games.
It's great. That fight went on so long. I didn't even look at where the zone was, to be honest with you. And as you can see, it looks like it is going to the northern side here of World's Edge. Not be too surprised to see a survey camp finish here. A lot of teams already backing on that. Some maybe even thinking about an ending even more north than that, right on that respawn beacon. But it's always a good idea to look at some of these teams, our hard zone teams, and see where they are. 100 Thieves already set up right in that respawn beacon area that I talked about.
Yeah, the survey camp move from Climatizer for a lot of these players was so vital as well to make sure they can actually get in a good position as Gamewood now are going to be
Классный экран.
will get a couple of knocks and leave no witness.
Gamewood двоих
Gamewood still surviving, but it looks like a third.
теряет в ноке. Это и самое будет доедать. Не дадут крест. SSG, кстати, тоже рядом. Могут помешать. Ой. Верхас. Алло. Откуда такой урон? Айм-ассист? Ладно, ребята жесткие. Да. Непонятно, что за обнова. Мобильный Апекс удаляет. И добавляет по частям его в полноценный. Наших нет.
You can see them at the moment, just surveying the area. They know there's a couple of teams around. They also know there was one player that did stay alive from Game Ward, so they're going to have to try and hunt him down. If they can find Psychop, who's just scarpering away there towards Climatizer, there might be a little bit of KP on offer for them. But for now, it's about finishing the downs, grabbing the extra loot, and continuing on that merry path.
And we've seen TSM play a circle very similar to this throughout regular season, where they do Valkyrie in late, try and find one of the priority positions, and they've already got the kills as well. They've already got that KP. But it's not always as simple as it may sound, especially when we see this many teams already north of Survey Camp, and we're having one heck of a battle in the train tracks, as well. xAt looking to try and take advantage of maybe a position they found very early in this game.
Nocturnal on the Bangalore as well. He's going to be putting some smokes down, and the good thing is he's got a little bit of a digi threat to work with as well, so he's going to be able to see through the clouds and force that team back, so they have complete and utter control of this train tunnel now, and looking to do a little bit more damage here with a 30-30, and look at that thing. You could not ask for more. Maybe a little purple or a gold mag, but that thing is looking pretty much as good as you can get it.
And the 3 teams who kind of drop in this area, xAt, 100 Thieves, and we're going to see several others that are also going to be able to really make a difference in where they were dropping on the northeast side as well. But I would say xAt and 100 Thieves, the 2 teams that had priority right from the get-go. They had free choice of where they wanted to be moving, and they both went train tracks way. I do think you're right. I think it's most likely going to pull out towards that beacon, and it is going to be very difficult for people to actually try and push if someone already resides there.
Damage being done already by Fun. You can see he's only 6 damage points away from getting that Evo shield all the way up to purple, and xAt already looking for double purple gold, and that is a good way to start the game. It gives you a little bit more confidence when you go into those fights, knowing that you've already done the work to give yourself the HP to survive and certainly thrive towards that end game. But it looks like I mentioned they've got complete and utter control of the train tracks now. They've forced both teams
Телефона крипто. Ну, с крипто, я думаю, много во что поиграть можно. Half-Life 3, например.
And it's going to be interesting to see what that zone does pull down. Is it going to be towards that beacon? Is it going to pull a little bit more further away towards Survey Camp? We're going to have to see how that progresses.
By the way, Flora still haven't moved outside of the red. They are still making their journey from Thermal Station after winning that elongated fight with Alliance. So they're going to be arriving very late. It's whether they'll be greeted by some edge teams when they arrive and be completely punished for how long that fight went on. But it does seem like they were able to loot for a long time without any sort of contest because people move so quickly to the northern side of this map up towards Survey Camp. It is a circle that people can heavily bank on the north, and that's why we saw so much movement.
TSM still just holding down the ridge, overlooking Fragment at the moment, trying to pick off any teams that are going to be late rotating behind them, making sure their backs are clear is such an important thing to do as that zone, of course, starts to close in a little bit. J-Lings Esports, they're in a great position. This is one of the priority positions, I would say, for either of these zones. You can get up on this high ground, and you can control these big rocks that, like you see here, they can control any team who's making a Northern rotation towards them as 100 Thieves who are going to be down in this compound, but also towards that end game. You have such good lines of sight of the teams who might be stacked up inside of Epicenter or, of course, Survey Camp.
Yeah, you can pick off a lot of free kills as well. And for a team like J-Lings, who are so kill heavy when it comes to regular season, they'll be looking to try and replicate that now here on LAN. And I'm very excited to see it because when they were VZ and now J-Lings, they love getting involved in a scrap. They were a fantastic 3v3 fighting team, but sometimes would be a little bit too aggressive and would find themselves getting third-partied. But it seemed like as the season went on, they matured, they started to learn, they started to adapt, and it seems like the perfect time for them to find form.
I mean, it's a great story, this team, right? J-Lings Esports, like you mentioned, started the season as a duo. Yeah, they had to work through, managed to get the thirds, managed to find their way towards LAN, and now, of course, representing Jesse Lingard's esports team, J-Lings. So a great story, and I'm sure they're looking to keep moving on that trajectory and maybe get towards that finals lobby and see what they can do. But look at Nax now, threading the needle with his charge rifle. He's only got the 2 times on it, but he's finding some bodies to play with.
Yeah, those teams who are going to be arriving late are going to have to be careful because there are charge rifles in a lot of different positions. You've already seen the beams flying across the map and making noise across of World's Edge. So you've got to you need to make sure that you are watching certain angles, but also have a direction of where you want to end up. What is the end goal from your movements? You can't afford to be wishy-washy with your decision making.
Well, speaking of decision making, J-Lings Esports have been inside of this building, one of the prio buildings, I would say, potentially towards one of these end games. We've got an option to jump into a listening, so we're going to take it down.
Crypto drone here. I don't see it. I'm even going to waste ammo on that, bro. I'll be real. You're good, you're good. I don't see him right now on bridge.
Maybe get ready to fuck out next. Get ready. Like maybe, you know?
It's,
Every
it's
time
the train
closing,
zone,
get ready to fuck out.
They're coming, they're coming.
Yeah, I see.
They're closer, these guys want to fight.
They're coming, they're trying to come to us.
They're going back, they're going back.
They're not anymore. I think they're waiting for zone.
He went all the way back, all the way back. I guess they thought it was free.
Да, Иван. СНГ игроки не получили визу.
This is fine.
Yeah, this is fine. This is fine. But we just need to hold it back. We just need to hold it back.
Yeah.
No, we're good.
43 purple on fear.
I'm not picking them.
They're Valco. They're Valco, that's good. They're the Valco. They're blues.
The bridge team's still there, by the way. Careful.
This is even better.
Zane, can you watch her? I'm gonna look.
We just need to watch bridge team, okay? Bridge team is looking right now.
I'll just watch through the door.
Yeah, we need to force them to Valco.
But the bridge team?
Yes, the bridge team.
Do they have a Valk?
Yes, they do.
Thanks,
60 on him again.
Valk, then.
Guys, we just play there late, like we did before.
Yes. The same as Nasky, remember?
Yeah. We just hold it back.
I remember.
They're pushing out. They're trying to push.
Okay. Any angles?
Yeah, they're trying to push careful. They're
gonna push off of that, but that's fine. I can cheat on them. They're gonna push off of that.
Yeah, they are.
60 on one.
They're gonna push.
Remember, 100 on him.
I killed one.
Missed on him.
Good shot.
Ну, отстрелял он хорошо. Размен 50 на 80. Сайкопс сольные остались, если не ошибаюсь. Хайл агрессивно играет, из упор подошел.
Purple versus purples. No one with the HP advantage. Who can get the damage advantage? It's going to be Verholz and Hao who go in first. There's the knock coming in from Imperial Hao, and there's 109 spray as well. All TSM have to do is push in.
Разменчик ноком.
After Hao has done that damage.
Oh, but then you're going to see the ult come through, and that is going to throw a spanner in the works ever so slightly. But TSM still with a very big advantage here. Rip through that shield. Utilize your own shield.
А там другой склад еще подошел, да?
Hao using that knockdown shield to give his teammates a little bit of an opportunity here to heal.
Скорее всего, так и есть. Решили въебаться, одного потеряли.
To try and cause some problems here. Hao hasn't been finished yet, so they might be able to stick the res here, Dan.
Yeah, stick the res because Passion are in the vicinity. You are completely right, but Circle is going to be moving, which is very much going to speed up this fight as well. But TSM back up to 3. I think they'll be very happy with that. They forced J-Lings away, and now they should be able to reset here. A successful fight.
Да, тоже не играет. Манда вместо эффекта.
As they walk their way towards zone, but now what's the next step in this process for TSM? Who do they try and fight? Who do they try and take a spot off of? And J-Lings, you can see, down to 1 now. Zane, he's probably thinking, we need to fight the team, we need to watch our backs. He was hoping it was anybody but TSM in that situation.
Honestly, TSM might just be able to walk into this circle, but they've just got to be careful of what's coming in from behind them, because there are a couple of teams in the vicinity. As Zane shreds, and suddenly Urban
Чё по ему?
Oh my goodness, what are you doing to him, Zane? He finds two and the one clips, he's gonna make it three! Zane, you are a maniac!
What a performance from Zane in the one.
Где инфа по сольнику в спине, алло? Он просто 3 манекена ща трахнул.
Catches passion off guard. 3 clips, 3 kills for Zane. That's about as good as you could possibly ask for, and now you can see not only is that extra points, but he's got a pretty good spot to overlook some of these teams rotating in with how he's shooting at the moment. Anybody who steps out from behind cover is going to get hurt.
Jay Links might call it a hat trick, but it certainly was a three-piece that I will want to see over and over again.
Никто не хочет на геймпад перейти после такого. Там и Хал нормально присосался.
Side of this circle, but there are going to be teams in that vicinity. There are going to be teams that will make it awkward. If we can see the map, you can see there's a lot of teams. Look at everyone just building around the middle side here.
Well, SSG taking some damage. Notable kill though in the kill feed there. You saw a member of TSM going down to exit the North American power.
Какого сира не глянь, у всех реликвии. Опа, а чё это? Мы заулынили. Какие размены, дроп? Да, он 2 в 2. Но вы должны резнуть. Рез отменили. Вот резают. Доедает Фрекса. И он алынит. И он упал. Если бы Клайм до конца был... Лора, ну а резают, ладно. Он в сейве. Если бы он сразу заклаймбил, мне кажется, может даже и выиграли. Ну, по крайней мере, лучше бы файт пошел. TSM 12 место. А чё, сольник жив еще, да? На крышу наваливают. У него и зона будет близко. Ну хорошо. Как же Сир поднасрал свой ультой. Вот ответочка.
That's going to give them the information. Now they're going to try and move forward as well off the back of the Bangalore smokes, but there's a lot of teams stacked up under this building. It's an Apex Legends sandwich down.
Много команд здесь. И они еще не в зоне. Эксет, кстати, до сих пор живы. Есть шанс, что они сегодня топ-1 удержат.
Maybe find a little bit of form in this lobby. You're looking at Oxygen. Oxygen are involved in this last fight. You're 100 Thieves. They're just about inside of where that zone's going to be as well. Moist Esports, who had a great game last time we saw them out, and now hoping that Walsey can pull off a little bit of a miracle. He can't. Moist Esports.
Да, вот сейчас геймпад не смог. Надо было ППшку брать. Ну и чё, вниз пойдете? Не, уже принимают, да. Не дают мне зайти. А чё с сольником? А имбот, возможно, его съел? И он снизу щелит. Бери дроном и резай круг.
Of the Apex Legends Championships, it's Pulverex who are up there, Dan. And here we can see
the дрона.
Pulverex on the North Dreamfire just west of them. Those two teams are going to have to
Его запушили? Да. Крипто сожрали. Возможно, на дроне и пытались поймать. Е36 отпустили воришек, и у них был спейс захавать этого крипта. Пацаны на хлеб зарабатывают, а пацаны с России. Они тем более не хотят, чтобы они зарабатывали.
As now exit will push up to the south side. They've got the smoke for cover. Funk goes down. E36 though.
Да за Аврору пиздец обидно, она 2 лана пропустила из этих сраных виз. Без пацанов турик не тот. Не знаю, может я накручиваю, но... И так смотрится. Это тот чел? Еще 3? Ты ебло? Блять, зачилься нахуй. Ребят, с завтрашнего дня донат-гол на геймпад.
We've still got Dreamfight, we've still got Pulverex, those two teams I was talking about on the north side, but now E36,
Сольник?
that drops kind of in this area are going to be able to make a real threat.
И они в него алынят. Они в него алынят! Чтобы и спот отжать, что ли? Пиздец. Блять, почти. Сейчас, если бы клипнул, свапнул армор еще. О, это звезда просто дня был бы. Ну, на текущий момент турнира даже, сказал. С двух сторон зажали. Так, Dreamfire. Dreamfire должны выигрывать. Есть размен. Ой, размен ног. Один ластовый. Зачильте, он по хп, по мясу. Хорошо. Dreamfire. Сюда. Они такие спокойные. А, погодите, это Шаймбот. Нет, стоп, это Dreamfire. Сорян. Блять, у него сердечко, кстати, топовое. Какой геймпад возьмешь? Ну, который ван клипает 3. Здесь 9 в красных арморах. Минус 6 геймпада, да. Бля, я не буду комментировать, что на полотне, на что похоже было. Да. Мне что-то показалось, что это имбот. Лицо знакомое. We see him then put down more shots, we go away. We don't know what's happened. Is he still alive? We come back and he's doing it again. To be able to score that much points on your own for your team is worth its weight in gold and really could be the difference between you getting to kind of finals or not.
Absolutely insane. I mean, that's game number 1 done on, of course, World's Edge. Game number 4 overall, and we've given our thoughts.
Ну, вторую команду покажите.
There's only one word to say after that one, and it starts with a Z or a Z.
Поэтому не свапнул, не успел на геймпаде. Ну, на геймпаде плюс-минус тоже быстро свапу.
The crowd got hype. I felt a tingling in my body watching some of the things that I saw Zane do. I didn't think it was possible. I know Dreamfire won. Congrats to another APAC North win, but Zane stole the show, Tiff.
Наших нет. Название стрима. Смотрите. А написано, почему нет? Ой, пример писем.
Such a dominating performance, right? Usually, if you're going to be the last member alive, you want to salvage some placement points. Bro was just sending it. He's like, oh, what? There's 3 of you? I'll take it. I don't care. I'll take this any day. And you know, like, he made it look like they were standing still.
Possibly the best single-player performance that we have seen, you know, in LAN, let alone on this stage this weekend. That is going to be in highlight clips for years to come. I mean, yeah, incredible tracking, you know, taking them out all one by one, just, wow.
Shout out to our producers as well. You know, I'm begging, can we see this again? Get tape, guys. Can we get this back? I need to see some more Zane. It all started off, though, in a very interesting fight with Alliance and Flora, Tiff.
Look, this contest I have been watching happening in scrims over and over, and I would say it's been about 50-50, right? Usually Mandy will get some opening kills and it'll turn the tides, but Hackus chows for that tower and usually the guns that are sitting on top. Well, this time they had Flora sitting up top, right? They didn't have a lot of resources, and I thought they were going to have the upper hand when Flora decided to flank. Now, when I got scared was when I saw Mandy with that Mozambique in his hand, because I remember at the beginning of Pro League, he once told Hackus, "My beak go crazy." It did not, in fact, go crazy in that moment, but overall, we'll see how it goes on the next map.
Something to be worried about, Gino, but then it became the story of TSM going up against Jay Lings, and that was when Zane started to perform. Look at this.
Yeah, here we go. I mean, the R301, it's known for its accuracy, and he certainly put that on display for the first soup. Then he switches over and says, you know, look, I've been in that firing range. I know how all these guns work, and he does not miss a bullet.
You know, and there was a little video on Twitter where people were saying, you guys thought it was wall hacks, you thought it was aimbot, you thought it was all this stuff. He's doing it at LAN. I think it was Nags actually recording it saying, no, this guy's the real deal. Quite possibly the best aim at LAN. Quite possibly the best aim we have seen in Apex Legends. What a moment from him. XSET making it into the top 7 as well. Zane, a little bit of magic here to end the run there for 100 Thieves. But he couldn't do it by himself. It would ultimately be Pulverex and Dreamfire started fighting out for it, Tiff. And then Dreamfire would take the win, which is a big deal for them. Trying to get their rhythm. They found it here on World's Edge.
Yeah, which is exciting for them. Right now, granted, they came into London last minute. I believe they had 29th at ALGS Champs this summer, and this has got to feel really good. I think they were here maybe for 20 hours in London, so maybe they just needed to warm up a little bit. You can see the vibes. They are on top. Let's check it out. 17 points for Dreamfire there in match 4.
And look at that, though. Interforce, Gino, I'm sorry but to cut you off, but 18 points. I mean, they actually did better than Dreamfire just because of the amount of kills they got.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Roy getting the love. He deserves that guy. You know, look, along with Zane, I would say, definitely one of the most mechanically skilled players out there. And, you know, of course, this isn't the full Dreamfire roster, right? We've got Ems and Pete not able to make it over here with him. But we did see, you know, these guys run it back at Champs before. So they have had some experience. Weirdly enough, you know, pretty much only together on LAN with Bolin and Tao.
You know, a big moment there for a lot of those squads to kind of step things up, and that is where you have to see it. Game 4 is kind of like that transition game. Game 5 now, it's kind of do or die, because if you're not in a position to really challenge for first, second, or third, you're not going to be able to have enough time with only game 6 away. TSM notably in the bottom half alongside Alliance, who take another 0. Let's take a look at the series standings as well. I think we have those available. It is XSET still on top, 65 points. They have certainly come to play to start off their tournament. Interforce, though, grabbing second because of that great game they had just last game 4. Northeption with a win as well. Moist Esports, notably, and Jay Lings, 2 teams outside of in the top 5, but without wins yet, Gino. So that's looking very good for them.
Yeah, Moist incredibly consistent so far. I mean, they've been consistent in always making that final day of LAN, and if they keep this up, you know, there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to be doing that again.
Yeah, and Tiff, Dreamfire sitting in 10. That's actually surprising, considering they just won Game 4. It kind of also tells you the story of how they really did need to step it up. I know we said this is the moment they needed to. They're doing it. But now heading into Game 5 and 6, is this the start of something new? Or is this really, you know, just maybe a once shot in the dark here for Dreamfire? What's your anticipation?
I'm going to give it to Gaskin,
Что за
right?
сайт?
Your stats, man. You heard
Я на
him say
Твиче
it. They
смотрю.
have one
Play
of the
Apex
most
канал.
winning percentages on World's Edge. So this was map 4, first game on World's Edge. What do we see? Dreamfire takes a W. They could just have better rotations or feel more confident on this map, and it's clearly showing. So I don't think this is a one-off. They could, like XSET, decide to double down and win another one right after this.
That's
or
true.
You really never know. I mean, it's just day
Когда там
one
Atomic
here
Heart,
at
кстати,
ALGS
выходит?
playoffs, and it's crazy.
One thing that I love talking
У него,
about
по-моему,
that troubles me, right? Because I always
все
say
булят и хотят отменить. Не отменить, вот именно забулить из-за того, что это русские разработчики делают.
Because they just want great performance, but on Stormpoint it was non-existent. So how do they correct that? How do teams go about looking at that and identifying it, Gino? Is it just time? But you know, what's your take on the fact that you've got to have that consistency on both maps to really get it done?
Yeah, it's really hard when your landing spots can be so different and they can dictate so much of how you play, right? You know, both loot quality and you know, your rotation paths can just be completely different. So I think for Dreamfire, you know, having those differences between the two maps, sometimes it's a little bit hard. You know, sometimes you know, you've been playing for a spot for a lot longer, and you just have so much more experience there that when you come to LAN, you don't necessarily get the POIs that you have in your home region where you're always going to be one of the stronger teams. It can be really hard to adapt.
Yeah, I mean, I have to, you know, talk a little bit about KCP. You know, looking at the other side of it, they are sitting at 0 points after 3. Going out in 20th place, contesting every single time. That is kind of the challenge of the wild card of the group stage, because now you're playing AD, AC the next 2 games, and everything shifts again and again. It actually becomes a little bit more consistent for these teams once we get into the elimination bracket.
21 февраля выходит.
You kind of know what you're going up against if you don't have to adjust that much.
That's true, but we got to get there first, right? You want to make your way.
Что-то мне кажется, она какая-то лаганая, баганая будет, и на движке Unreal просто без своей атмосферы.
Yeah, if they play this consistently throughout the groups, it's going to be fine. I said it earlier. Yeah. Consistency is key. You have 6 games in a series to make something happen, and they've really extended their lead, and no one's really able to chow for that.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, the play level that you have, you know, in the group stages versus that final lobby, completely different. You have to be a much better team to succeed on the final day than you are right here. But also the tempo and how well you need to do, right? I mean, at the moment, it's, you know, the top half are going into winners bracket, bottom half going into losers bracket. So you only need to be in that top half. It's very different to Sunday, where everyone is playing for that first spot.
Going over a little bit as well into our other side, Group C versus D. It's actually Fnatic, a team that you had mentioned earlier, leading that group, a team that notably got 4th place at our championships and has a lot to prove this time around, certainly doing well, as well as IG International, a team with a LAN winner in JMW who substituted for Dark Zero when they were missing out in Sweden, and now Jin Burton back, obviously has done very well with Graceful, being able to kind of put that team together. I mean, Tiff, this is obviously a lot of teams we expected to performing here, so competition is only getting better.
Yeah, you mentioned Group D. The first thing I saw when I looked at that was there are a lot of edge teams in that group, and I was curious how it was going to start affecting it, because IG is one of the zone teams in the Group D that's stacked, and I was like, okay, if you're saying that they're performing incredibly well, it makes sense, right? They're playing their positioning, they're doing it well, but Fnatic, that is going to be exciting, and I think it's really cool. In the back of my head coming into this, I really wanted an APAC North team to win this.
Последняя игра выходит лагающим, вроде Калиста. Ну, Калиста вроде как пофиксили.
I don't know, man. I'm not sure Europe's going to be happy having some European take home the championship. I mean, but we had it in North America. You know, we expected maybe a TSM, maybe a something like that. NRG, there was a lot of talk about Optic, and then all of a sudden, you know, you look at it, it's Dark Zero yet again, which still is undethroned, has not been dethroned from winning and hoisting that trophy as well.
IG are doing well, though, so, I don't know, home ground advantage.
It's possible.
For them.
I like them. I mean, how about Alliance? Let's talk a little bit more about them. Obviously, that's not necessarily the most positive situation. Quick point on them. How do they turn it around? Any ideas?
It's interesting that you know, yeah, having a look at those contests that happen throughout scrims and how that's already changed the we're seeing that on LAN. I mean, that last one we saw was honestly one of the most wildest contests I have ever seen. The fact that there was ultimates coming out, the contest went long enough that Horizon got the black hole ready. I mean, that's actually kind of crazy. I mean, these teams have been doing all of their research. I mean, we've had info come out, you know, in the last 6 months, even specifically about where guaranteed weapon spawns are around these POIs, right? And that is something that these teams need to look at to make sure that they can win those contests.
Well, great things to talk about. We still got a couple more games to play. It's day 1 here in our Split 1 playoffs in London. But coming up, we've got 2 more on World's Edge. We'll see you in just a little bit for that. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
WD Black is the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, everybody, once again to the ALGS Split 1 playoffs, and good news for you guys, you don't have to wait too long. We're about to get straight into this game. Dan, we've only got 2 left.
Призовой фонд, это как обычно, миллион.
Don't worry, we've got 3 days off.
That's kind of oh yeah, we got 3 more days. It's absolutely fine. It's match number 5, and you know what I'm interested in? It's Thermal Station again. Are we going to see the same old battle going down between Flora and Alliance?
I got an answer for you, my friend. Of course we are.
Да.
Yes, we are indeed. We're going to see these 2 teams go back and forth
Бесспорно.
once more. So Thermal Station is going to be the focus of attention. The question is, are Alliance going to change up their strategy a little bit?
Я еще вторую группу хочу посмотреть. Мне интересно, как Фнатик играет Crazy Raccoon. Надеюсь, Фнатик и Ракуны пройдут. Хотя бы наслажусь. Брекет стейджа. Это что, дубль 2, что ли? Блять. Ну ладно, давай. Нам на самом деле интересно будет. Я надеюсь, на бины рядом падали они по кругам. Они одного потеряли?
as much as possible.
Whoops.
But there will also be the thought process for Flora here of, okay, how do we get Miak back on his feet, right? How do we actually get back to a full 3? Is it possible? And this is why we're seeing Sia utilize with the heartbeat sensor.
Возможно, на них, кстати, не переключили, когда один сдох.
To if you focus fight, you turn it into a 2v2, and all of a sudden the pressure's back on Alliance, right? Just to keep you a little bit more abreast of what's going on in the rest of the map, because last time we completely utterly forgot the zones exist, Dan. We're going to talk about where that zone's going, why this fight goes down. It looks like Landslide might be an option. Countdown, of course, is going to be there, but a few teams more moving towards staging, which is interesting. Maybe an end towards there.
Here comes Alliance then. They are going to make the push. They are going to make their way up. They don't want to wait any longer. They waited for the death box to be out, and they get involved in the fight. And it should be simple from here. There's a lot of damage. Hackers will get the second knock.
Hackers gets the second one. One player left alive then on this high ground. Alliance looking to answer back, and Yuki looking to join the fight as well. A finish is going to come in as well, and let me tell you, that's BM, brother. He's not just looking for that armor swap. He wants to let them know that this is still Alliance's playground.
Это сладкая месть от альянсов. А у них милишка на использовать стоит? Или нет? Бля, у геймпада какая-то кнопка с чем-то похожее. Вот с использовать, по-моему. Использовать и что-то еще. За кого болеть? За других команд. За игроков из других команд.
But it is going to be a lot of area to try and hold.
The good thing here for Space Station, you're wondering why it's such a popular area here staging. They do have that beacon information as well, so they'll be able to have the info on where that zone is.
Я пока что не определился, но на текущей стадии за Фнатик. Он не знает, куда поставить. Интересно, Аксениал или Дроп играет с финалкой? Наверное, Аксениал. Раньше я бы на Фнатик не поставил, теперь, кажется, есть шанс. Почему? Они же топ-3, по-моему, заняли на прошлом лане. Причем на прошлый не прошли.
Towards staging, a lot of teams are going to be rotating in front of them, which might even give them that information if they don't have beacon themselves. But Leave No Witness do have a beacon and do have the information on where we're going to be going. So even though you can see Renatricky is very, very low shields at the moment, priority number 1 is getting out of danger, finding somewhere to reset for them.
Interestingly as well, Polvarex, who dropped Harvester, they got out of dodge very quickly, avoided TSM, and now are actually in a position to hold off Alliance down towards Thermal Station. So a very interesting rotation for them, considering they are very zone heavy. It's whether they will actually consider taking the fight versus Alliance. Because now Alliance, because the circle is so close to them, Mark, they can afford to be very patient here. They can loot up, they can make sure they're prepared. It hasn't been the best of times so far, but they've still got plenty of time.
Well, Alliance's game plan is never really looking at a zone-based game plan. It's all about picking up KP on edge and trying to force their way in, pinch a couple of teams and kind of weave their way through the traffic, so to speak. So no surprise to see them just taking their time to loot up, making sure that they're ready for those fights when they do break out. But 3 blue shields isn't the best circumstance to find yourself in on edge at this point in Apex Legends. You usually want to be crafting up to purples, maybe even a red at some point if you do a little bit of damage. Because if you get towards that end zone and you haven't had the opportunity to do damage, 3 blues, even though maybe a couple of months ago might have seemed quite good, at this point in the game, you're just going to get fried.
And even though we saw a lot of movement in the early stages from these teams and they were trying to get into some of these priority positions you speak of, now we're going to see a minor pause where all teams are going to kind of wait on their rotation, wait for this next zone to finish so you can get beacon information now from zone 2, preparing for zone 4, and then you move in. TSM, for example, they are hovering around Harvester because they have a beacon to play around. Alliance, they have one in Thermal Station as well they can utilize. Sure, you're going to take a little bit of tick damage, they've got that info now, but they could go back if they wanted.
Если они не имеют свободы действий. Ну, в Авроре не знаю. Ну, раньше в Авроре рулят. Но там вроде плюс-минус в каких-то моментах они, ну, на себя берет преимущество какое-либо из игроков. Мол, соглашаются, все не соглашаются. Но эта гибкость также и помешать может лишним движением.
Passion in this 3v3, you can see the Seer ultimate, the exhibit's gone down, that's going to be expended, won't be able to be used again. The question is, does Mimu have his available? And will they be able to get into a position where they may have the advantage in this fight? It looks like the answer is no, because they're backing up, they don't have facilities they want to take this fight, but FC Destroy up on that high ground, the 2 times on the wingman, not quite connecting as yet, but there's a little bit of flesh damage, and from there now you see the push come in as they've got that knock.
As soon as you get that knock, as soon as you've done that damage, you have to send it in, because you've got to capitalize, you've got to pick up this KP and take advantage of these players that are going to be a little bit weak, and of course on that back foot.
They get the finish, Urban's going to be down. A couple of tough games here for Passion. And now you can see FC Destroy looking to live up to their name and looking to take the last 2 players down to add to that KP tally.
Я 2x был бы, наверное, сбрил.
Utterly isolated as well. Although you can see Jailings maybe up on the opportunity to sneak up on this fight on the triple stack building.
FK я сначала думал, что это фанатик, кстати. Там и Юка вот есть предатор. Ну, Перо. Оказались это другие. Брат, правит себе на тройке, чтобы было за кого болеть. Не слушать бесконечный диалог где-то. Да, смотрели бы на мой геймплей, а в перерывах вместо комментариев слушали игру на гитаре. Ну и песни. Бля, такой кайф на самом деле сыграть крыжовник, терпкая сирень, или как она там. Присыла, которая пела.
Get the ultimate accelerants in, and then you skyward dive again once you have that info. So it's smart from Exit here. You don't want to be risking yourselves in a position which is so contested by so many teams. Instead, you put yourselves out.
А сериал Ведьмака все, кстати, заглох? Или другого просто Ведьмака ищут?
We've seen what Exit can do. We've seen how successful they are sometimes with their late rotations, and they'll be looking to try and do it again here.
Well, interesting fight might be developing as well. 100 Thieves and Alliance having a little poke and a prod at each other. It looks like Exet are trying to move in on that fight. So they've seen that there's a couple of teams in the vicinity. If they have the opportunity to third party even from this.
В Ведьмаке музыка это отдельное мое почтение. Только ради этого уже игру покупать можно. Но в Киберпанке, кстати, тоже. Мне кажется, просто непривычно такую атмосферу, тематику ловить. Тем, кому Ведьмак понравился. Это же вообще другая вселенная. Вообще другой стиль абсолютно. Вот к Киберпанку надо привыкнуть. Вот как раз таки через анимешки, вот что выпустили. Через историю. А их двое тут? Ну надо ебать. Бот, уходи. Все, чел, уходи. Сейчас складов еще подсос с моста придет. Плюс зона ебашит. Улетает? А, улетают. На юг. Валькирии-то нет. И Роберта Уэйда? Это что? И встает топ по 300 плюс часов. Для концовки жестко. Да хуя у тебя свободного времени, Макс. Этот Ведьмак держался только на актерах. Сериал который? Ну, возможно. Но после игры слишком большое ожидание, мне кажется. Если бы сначала сериал вышел, а потом игра. А потом продолжение сняли нормальное. Иксетов пушат. Чувак, ротейтнус, Диев поджимают ближе, но там уже никого нет. Как бы ты там своим не теребил диджиталом. А, они ушли. Доедают. Плюс крылышки. И далеко не KFC. Манга стал настолько метовый после перформансов на прошлый ЛГС. На, по-моему, и до этого игралось. Dreamfire are going to have to move in on them. The zone is behind them. That's why Xset decided to slide down this hill. They want to try and use the zone to their advantage. And I will say, Dreamfire with those changes, they do look a little bit. Там все предаторы. Ну не такие лирик скилловые, как ты, но да. Что вы чувствуете, когда берете никнейм другого чувака, не придумывая себе свой? Опа! Лифт подкинул. Промахнулся на еду. Альянс. Пока. Такое чувство, будто Манда ни с кем не списывается. Он как соло-игрок, заебись. Но вот с командами что-то не получается у него. Может, ему инициативу надо на себя. Не знаю. SSG involved once more, but here come TSM. They're on the hunt as well. They're being forced to move. Verholst is going to take a lot of damage. Black Hole goes down, as does Verholst. TSM getting sent on at the moment. Even though the Prowler is singing, the song isn't quite in tune. And now Reps is left on his own. All down to Reps then. A lot to do. The damage has been done elsewhere, and maybe he could be able to escape, but because he pops out, because he shows himself, suddenly he's going to be under fire, and TSM, this could be the end. Reps manages to get the barrier off, but is he going to be able to find somewhere to play? That's the real question here. Multiple teams are looking at him, but even though he's on M&K,
He's saying I can do it as well as the roller boys here. A good spray coming in from that flat line.
TSM really looking to try and secure a bit of KP here. Reps desperate to try and get this knock, try and get this finish. Doesn't look like he could do it in the moment. xDaT gets eliminated. Remember, they won back-to-back games on Storm Point. Haven't been able to find the same success here on World's Edge. As for TSM, 10th place at the moment. They haven't really been able to find the same success from earlier.
Ой, 104 сюда.
Come in, Dreamfire, wiped out.
Vaxalon is decimating people with this Peacekeeper at the moment. Big numbers every single time he pulls the trigger. And I tell you what, I'm a purist, Dan. I love some big shots from the Peacekeeper.
They just hit so hard and the rumbles.
Вы заметили, это тоже особо не юзает мастиф. Наверное, только в том случае, если не находит пискипер. О, там, кстати, верхушка, репс нокаются. Кого последний остался, я так полагаю, если его не убили раньше.
SSG making their move as well to the second level of that crane tower. The question is now, what is the winning position?
Ну что они играть хотят? Под мостом? Так они могут играть справа. Справа на бинах эффективнее будет, наверное.
Most of that engagement, you'd say they got the advantage over TSM for sure, getting those couple of knocks. Now have to make their way in, and with round 4 closing.
Ну, здесь зона пустая. В спину заходить, конечно, будет комфортно. Потому что им в спину не зайдут как минимум. Да включите полный экран. Ладно, спасибо за инфу. Таймбот, кстати, влетит сверху. Зона закрывается. SSG пытается... А, он закламбил, окей. А имбота схавали, на 11 место занял. Пол сервака живой еще, прям ровно пол. Опа, одного поймали. Увлечи. Анлоки. Поймали.
I'm going back up, I'm going back up. They're getting shit on here, getting shit on. One drop right here, drop. Yeah, bro, they're rezzing above me, I can cancel res. You wanna kill these guys? Where are they? Above me at the cart. I don't, how do we get there, bro? You zip up, we zip up. Okay. Can we just play our shit? Fine. I'm just coming down. This guy's a solo. Okay. I'm coming, bro. He got a re-45. I have an ult excel if you need it. Yeah, I do. Climbing. 36. I'm dropping it on the ground here. Climbing again. Craig. Yeah, I'm looking. He died. It's fine. Alright, well this team above us is gonna push us. Yeah. Like I low-key think we need to play for fucking... Do we need to play for the height of the bridge or no? I don't know if we can, bro. I'm queuing this guy. This guy might... They're not even on the fucking second level. We can play second level.
Они хотят выше подняться. Отходят. Да, отошли.
So they're going to have to try and force their way either just underneath and through, which leaves them so vulnerable to these teams on the bridge, or they have to go for that risky play of taking the bridge off of two teams, which would be near impossible considering they would be watched from both angles. I will say, at the moment, Godfire in the best position of this game. But on their back.
Понял, про какой мем. А SSG наверху сидят или это они есть? Нет. Нет. Второй этаж что, заняли сверху? Да, доедать сейчас будет. Аутодроп, первый нокдаун. Фрек же играет с геймпадом по ощущениям. Почему у них у всех мышки были? Я что-то не понимаю. Дефенс здоров.
for so long here. Godfire, you can see Watson fences down. They got the Gen as well. That zone is going to close, and they're going to be safe for quite some time. The question is, are they aware of the position here of SSG? Do they know they have that ramp? And more importantly, Dan, that hit glitch to play from.
Remember, Godfire drop here at staging. This is their home territory. They would have played this circle 1,000 times.
Баннер G2, хз.
You will notice though, J-Link's back up to a full 3.
Может, магазин реально обновили? Надо будет глянуть.
Question is, who is going to have to move first? Because even though J-Lings are down on that low ground, they've got the horizon.
Не знаю как. Ну ждать, когда продавать начнут.
They can wait for the damage to be done and then pounce. Space Station got some decisions to make here, and one of them is going to be swapping out weapons for ammo.
I mean, the fact that we have a rat at fourth place, never mind, doesn't matter. 3 squads are remaining. Now suddenly it really is about who is forced to move first. Space Station can try and dictate the pace a little bit. They have fences to force people away.
Ну, по-моему, сквад, который снизу, будет играть с кайфом. У них Horizon есть?
SSG are aware of the position and maybe they've realized we've got to try and fight this. We've got to play for the KP. Nades are going to go in here. They're going to use the exhibit as well to light them up. The wall hacks are in, boys. Zenial, he's going to be hitting some good shots as well. 85 damage, but no crack on the shield.
Что сквад снизу делает?
Space Station, they take a breath. Still, J-Link's waiting in the wings, waiting for that knock, waiting to get involved.
Snakes in the grass at J-Links. Just waiting for that opportunity. The EMP comes in as well. That's not going to only destroy the fences. It's going to mean they're going to send it here. Frex is going to almost get one. Drops is going to trade it out. But where is J-Links in all of this?
Да, и лифт. Давай, Space. Ну да. А кто из геймпадом тогда развалил? Слева чел? Наверное, слева. У него такое спокойное лицо.
It was just a matter of time before they got the victory. As soon as they lifted up, as soon as they saw the damage that was unfolding. And remember, they were knocked down to
Заслуженно.
Getting up to 3, getting on the low ground very much helped them.
What a pickup this has been for J-Link's Esports. I tell you, picking up the players at just the right time. And they're starting to perform here, Dan, at just the right time as well. And let me tell you, that grab lift, well, I hate to repeat myself, Dan, but it was at just the right time as well.
Ты бы игру сломал?
Waiting for the damage and knowing there's no way we can lose.
Ну, как сказать. Там же крипто был команда сверху.
It really does indeed. So J-Link's Esports, the local heroes, I will say, take our game number 5. It's done here from the casting desk. It's time to hear from the guys and the girls down on the analyst desk.
Well, it ended with Zane an incredible performance in Game 4. Game 5, they build on that. J-Link's Esports.
Ой, это какая? Это пятая игра, да ведь? Да, последний раз сейчас был. Ну, X-Red на первом месте держится, отрыв 23 поинта от второй. А, не факт, не, никакие 23. Сейчас еще киллы посчитают. А CD уже играет 6-ю игру, кстати. Уже почти закончили. Тут предпоследний круг, судя по складам.
J-Link's Esports started off as VZN, actually a little bit changes there at the beginning, but they played as a duo in the first match day of Pro League Split 1. They did that, they came out swinging, they bring in Nags, they have really good dynamic as they play together. And we actually got to interview Nags on that broadcast, and just hearing the way that he talks about his teammates and just the chemistry that they have, it's clearly showing that they've been building on it and it's paying off.
Yeah, formerly with E6, K-Switty and Slayers, Nags finds a home here. Genome, though, it's more than a home. I mean, this is a team that seems to be playing off momentum, playing off of confidence, and that's what you need in this type of situation.
I mean, surely, yeah, after your teammates sit back and watch you take that 1v3, right. You know, they've got to be hyped up for that next game. It seems, you know, almost certain at that point. And, yeah, you're seeing with that performance, they, as, you know, Gaskin and Onset said there, they waited for the perfect moment. You know, when it played out in that final circle, you know, the other two teams, they really just couldn't look over the top and snipe them. Even though they were on the low ground, it was very tough for them to get unlocked, untangled from each other, and that just made it really easy for them to come out on top.
was a great situation for them. They could wait, and I think also SSG making the decision. We want the KP. Sometimes that happens. As we take a look at the highlights of Game 5, only one more game to go. TSM trying to get going. xCET trying to get going. They've noticeably dropped a couple of near goose eggs here in these last couple of games, though.
Yeah, it's been really tough, right? We were talking about them after map number 2. They had 56 points, would have put them in match point contention if this was Sunday, but they had only garnered themselves 9 points throughout the rest of those 3 games. So a little bit of a falling off, still holding on to the lead, and that's only because NTH hasn't really made a jump up, but they're starting to creep and close that gap there, so it's only a matter of time. But as I watch these highlights, we saw Vaxlon go off with the PK, and I'm like, I was like, name a better duo, Vaxlon and a PK, and then Scurry also had one, so they were just rolling through that end game. But this is the positioning you were talking about, and it's really interesting, Genome, because J-Lings, they were originally rotating in on the side of Godfire when they were bunkered down in that building. They end up on the low ground and play it like a chess game and just wait patiently.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those situations where, you know, if the circle shifts just a little bit one way or the other, you know, the other teams might just be staring right down on them, and it's kind of tough, but that one shifted a little more to the high ground, which actually suited them in that case.
What I did like, too, is we've seen J-Links Esports, right, pop off with the kills, pop off with the performances in terms of the show-stopping stuff, but they just get it done tried and true. 12 placement points, 2 kills. They didn't have a flashy game. But you need that dynamic to be able to play all situations when they come up in Apex.
Чекнем Апекс еще раз. На предмет каких-либо изменений возможно.
Most of these games, Space Station Gaming, though, off to a continued great performance. They should be almost tied for 3rd here, if my calculations are correct. But yeah, we've talked about it in terms of xCET, in terms of PSM, Flora as well, a team. It's either Flora or Alliance at the bottom, Tim. So, you know, there's a couple of, you know, dynamics that are specific to AB that seem to be really favoring a couple of these teams.
It's really interesting. It's now dubbed the Battle of Thermal Station. I want to give a shout out to Ben, who was like, I'm loving these chess-like contests with Alliance. They're putting some thoughts behind it, right? It's moving a little more slowly, the way they approach it. And in scrims, it was really 50-50. And I know Raven is probably cringing me here saying a contest is 50-50 because there are things you can do to shift it, right? But for the most part, that contest has been back and forth.
One shot can do it. One headshot. Let's take a look at the big overall series, though. Genome, react to this. xCET on top. We mentioned they've slowed down here, but Northeption, Space Station, J-Links, all nice movers.
Yeah, the fact that the majority of those points are from 2 games is just, like, phenomenal. But, yeah, they don't really, I was about to say, like, they need to pick up the pace, but they don't, because, like, they're still that far ahead at 66. And, look, we've still got, you know, the 1 match left to play, but, like, it's very hard for anyone to catch up at this point. There's such a big gap between them and Northeption, almost 20 points there. So,
Хрена они коллекционный магазин запихнули. Побольше рекламы. Это шо?
Was just said right there. Couldn't be about his aim, though, because we know he's got that locked in as well, alongside BX and Nag. So I think got a haircut since the last time we saw him and interviewed him on stage in Sweden. All good things, though, from these teams. And I kind of want to, you know, set the table last game. You know, we've got to look at 5. It's been a great showing. Tiff, your takeaways heading into Game 6.
У меня нет.
As we kind of get close to rounding out our day 1.
Ни одной,
One
кстати.
big game, right? That's all it's going to take for xCET to get unseated at the very top. And those teams that are in 2nd through 5th place right now are all
Стоп, в
sitting
смысле
around,
есть?
you know, mid-40s,
А, это...
mid-40s.
Боже.
And that is a big
Боевой
game.
пропуск.
Double-digit eliminations with that 12 points for placement points. So there is a very valid chance that someone is able to put that down. So if I'm xCET, I am doing everything that I can to minimize that because you want to come out with a win on your group play for the first day.
yeah, and it's also a very tight lobby as well. You have to acknowledge that, right? I mean, besides xCET, you know, being a little bit further ahead there, but that's it. It's still only 66 points, which after a 6-game series in Apex is not like massive points, right? And I think that just shows that
Он же, по-моему, такой же, 1 в 1, просто картинка другая.
highly skilled teams here, and we don't have anyone just running away with it. We've got no one just rolling through the lobby, you know, like it's a breeze or anything, because every team here is showing up.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the story throughout all of this weekend. You're going to see teams that
Ну
have
да.
some issues, and they've got to solve them. And some will solve them. Some will get it right a couple times, and then they'll find themselves kind of slowing down.
Все-таки этот самый
That's
узенький.
to me where I say, stay focused. It's almost like you have to tighten up at the end of the race, right? You don't want to trip and fall when you're almost at first place. A big
Виталин
win, let's not
побольше
say it's
будет, как
impossible. A
думаешь?
big win, a 28-point thing.
Не знаю.
Зен пиздит манекены, он, блядь, без трэп-пака играет. Ладно. Да, бля. О, Зен сейчас лучше посмотрим.
for a team like XZ who have done so much to get here.
А, ну он когда троих сбрил.
Когда он в нашем регионе бегает, блядь, по 5к урона делает, 1000 киллов, блядь. Ладно, все, ебало, я завалил свое ебало. Все, завалил свое ебало. Ладно, я все, я понял. 2 ванклипчика. Завалил свое ебало? Да, завалил. 3 ванклипа. Он просто в соло уебал, блядь, команду. Чё, блядь? Чё за хуйня? Да нихуя! Ты ебаная! Нихуя!
Чё он сказал?
Да нихуя! Ты ебаная!
Блядь, нихуя не понимаю, что Пека говорит. А когда он еще троих завалил, есть клип? Макс.
You know, especially on Storm Point there, that they are just a cut above everyone else in this lobby.
Tiff, has anyone been surprising to you today? I mean,
О, та камера красиво вышла.
I mean, look, I've seen some teams that I thought were going to come out here and perform incredibly different in a better way that maybe are performing a little lackluster.
Там мало было не стал делать.
We are on land. We have a lot of young
Ну, реакция
players,
пацанов.
and this is their first time on a stage. You can't
Из
even
металла-то
imagine
прицел имбал, то есть он
the
шире.
amount of pressure that you're experiencing. You are surrounded by 119 other players.
Узкий Вигман? Не. Не. Только если достану с контейнера. Контроллер, да. Там же видно было.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about, you know, teams that have been a little bit of a change-up, obviously Dreamfire was a change-up. The fact that they're even here with Daywa, unfortunately, not being able to make it, you know, they, as we said, it's a little bit different from the team that we saw during Split 1. Right. They've been playing Bang, Seer, Bloodhound. Dreamfire are known for being a very aggressive team, but they did have a bit of an identity crisis during the split and sort of flirted with playing a more zone-heavy style. It didn't work out for them, and they stormed home in the end with a more aggressive style. So I feel like today, even though their comp is favoring that more aggressive style, we haven't really seen them just taking it to all these other teams, like someone like North Eption. So still, I'm feeling there's like that tension in the team about which style are they playing and what actually suits them.
Yeah, it shouldn't be surprised. I think North Eption, you mentioned that would be the team that I kind of have the biggest takeaway on. How aggressive that they're being, how confident that they're being, even getting into these top 4 situations. But the way they're doing it with the kills, to be able to say that, you know, they're in contention. They're second, third place overall in this lobby. That is an incredible achievement heading into a lobby with what feels like people who could be hoisting up this championship no problem. And so representing APAC North, being able to do that and show, with Fnatic also representing on the other side. It's a strong day for APAC North. We've seen good APAC South performances, good EMEA performances, and of course North America is on top here in AB. So for me, does this make our job easier or harder, Tiff, to figure out what's actually going to happen?
I mean, we're getting such good representation from all regions, right? This is a global series, and they are all showing up. So I don't think it makes it harder. It's just more fun, right? Because it could be literally anyone that comes out on top. We said it best. There are some amazing teams behind us from all of the regions, and it's really cool to see a lot of the teams, such as Dreamfire, that came in last second to find success as well already.
Yeah, I think Dreamfire is a great story. You know, Gino, Moist, I brought them up, formerly Team Burger, now with Moist Esports. Big shout out to them as well. You know, Moist Critical, Ludwig joining in and actually being a part of it. He said, you know, esports, they just basically, the orgs, they just, you know, burn money. And that was what was so funny about it, as he's willingly throwing the money in, because he's saying this is worth investing in, and having that kind of humor go along with Moist, who have a lot of humor, and Waltzy, and you know, great personalities. I mean, this is a great situation for APAC South.
Yeah, it's so fun, and yeah, you know, from that same video, all the trophies that Moist Critical was carrying around one. But guess what? There wasn't an Apex trophy in that pile, and they want one. And look, Moist are looking better than ever, honestly. You know, if there was any of the Apex tournaments, any of the Apex LANs they've attended so far where they could actually be lifting that one, I think it might be this one.
Well, you know, I've got a very special thing to throw to here. Our very own Glitter Explosion, who's been doing phenomenally,
Лег спать
is having a very special
в 7 часов вечера.
Members from J-Lings Esports. Let's head over.
All right, thank you very much, Rain Day. I am standing by. I'm infiltrating your space, J-Lings, so I'm very sorry. We got to talk a little bit here, Zane, though, okay? Are you okay to chat for a little bit?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, we need to talk about what we saw 2 days ago. Okay, the crowd was, or 2 games, not 2 days. The crowd was going absolutely insane with that performance. The 1v3, I mean,
Ну да.
what happened?
Это все чел слева.
I'm controller, I just shot my gun.
Хорош.
Roller excuse.
Хорош.
Alright, but then after that, then you come out with a dub.
Блять, просто клип теперь всем можно скидывать и все.
I'm mad because I didn't get any kills that game, but they're very happy since we won the game, so I don't know, it's fine.
Are you guys feeling like you've got some good momentum going on here?
Sorry?
Are you feeling?
Не, ну с флетки это с клавой мыши тоже можно сделать.
Probably
Хотя...
like one of my best movement like I've like felt before.
All right, well, I'm getting the vibe, a lot of confidence here. You guys
Он стеснительный какой-то,
congratulations
кстати.
on the dub. I'm going to send it back on over to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Glitter. Great performance. Round of applause there.
Не знаю, знаете? Вот сейчас смотрел, как эта девчонка подходила, она как-то тоже немного в напряжении была. Пацан посередине тоже как-то неуверенно себя чувствует. У вас нет такого, что вы понимаете, когда вот даже через экран, что какому-то человеку неловко, когда он общается?
I mean, that's all that matters, getting into your momentum at the right time.
I mean, do you blame him? That's exactly what you need to do. They're still locked in even after that interview. So I could only imagine. He's like, I'm mad because I didn't get more kills. That is the mentality of a pro player right there. Because you're like, oh, wait, yeah, I won, but it could have been better. And that can get to be a dangerous situation, but I don't think for those guys, because obviously they can shoot their guns.
Yeah, you always got to be looking for that extra 1%, right? That's why these guys get on this stage, because
Они все с геймпадами.
little advantage they can get, and yeah, it's never good enough. I mean, we see teams that come top 5 in the world at LAN, and they're always like they're just shaking their heads. They're like, we're unhappy with this. I don't care about how much money you just put in my bank account. I want the trophy.
That's right, and you kind of put that into comparison with a lot of teams that are dissatisfied with anything but a victory.
Они, по-моему, вторые идут, да? Чё они игру так долго стартуют? Опять какие-то проблемы? Там уже вот вторая игра. Они закончили. Фанатик первое место. Мы никак не досмотрим. Красавчики. О, на 1 поинт от Эхо. Декстер, Зики. Блять, начните игру, пожалуйста. Ну, топ первое место, и смотрите, первое, четвертое и вообще среднячки. 2 среднячка даже, и 2 игры не очень. И этого хватило для первого места. Какая-то прям группа вплотную идет. 56, 47, 45, 45, 43. Тут 58, 57, 52, 46, 45. Тут с 40-х до 7-го. Тут до 5-го. Охренеть, тут 13 поинтов, а здесь 16-го. Тут 19 поинтов. Ой, 19 команд выше 10. И топы как раз кинуты. Прям практически у всех есть. А тут хренак пробелы. У 5 команд. Тут еще 5 команд. Ни одного топа. Не топ-4 даже. Я вот еще... Мне еще поэтому обидно, что вот по статистике, которая здесь видно, CD группа интереснее будто выглядела. Я надеюсь, завтра сделают они таким образом, что сначала играют одни. А хер они так сделают, да? Ой. Ладно, завтра раунд. Начали? Только высадка. Завтра мы, я так полагаю, мы будем смотреть. Если они будут левую группу чекать вечно, то мы посмотрим все-таки за фанатиками завтра. А за ракунами в 3-м раунде. Если они подумают, например, первый раунд АБ смотрим, второй мы смотрим БД, а в 3-м смотрим АД. И тогда С-группа вообще в пролете будет. Так что, по идее, они постоянно должны за группой следить, чтобы нормально отстримить это все, если у них на одном канале. О, опять. Главный контест этого турнира. Он фаер дал! Но он выживет. Один дотек. Да еще проблем, дуос это запушить и все, а Sentinel один шот дает.
But this Sentinel really is the game changer here. One shot from this weapon, a headshot, and it completely changes. But are Alliance going to try and take that high ground here with the lift? It looks like they have. So Alliance now thinking one step ahead once more. How do we deal with the team who's taking space? We take the high from them.
I think it's also because they've seen the circle. They've seen where it's kind of heading. It's going down southwest. Teams will be starting to go towards gunshots and trying to get into these positions down at the southern side of the map, over towards Tree, over towards Thermal. So Alliance, they need to finish this fight quick.
Oh, Mandy tries to say peekaboo. Hackers is going to have that win.
Манда размансил. Хорош. Подсос есть? Ну 2-1 счет. На мужика, конечно, не контестит.
But now, Alliance, they need to be wary of what's happening elsewhere. The likes of SSG, the likes of Oxygen, the likes of Godfire. All these teams are moving down to the southern side of the map, the southwest side of the map. This circle is ending down south. Tree, and in between Tree and Thermal is where we're going to be finishing.
And the difference here for Alliance, like you say, with all those teams, it means they don't have the same amount of time to loot like
бы перевел, что они сказали.
it's a case of getting a position to play from for.
Как ты отпиздошил вот этих типов? Я геймпад. Я просто контролю свой ствол. Ну а дальше она дала ему свой инстаграм, и это осталось за кадром.
At the moment, this is maybe not what we would have expected from TSM, but also we know they are a Championship Sunday team. They amp up throughout the weekend, but they definitely are kind of due a game when we look at how they've been performing so far. What a stop that is, by the way. The Seer coming in clutch, and it is just as easy as that. 1, 2, 3, Oxygen go down.
Reps and Hal know each other very well, and Hal will say thank you very much, Reps. And I tell you what, the Hemlock wasn't at the top of the list of guns I would have picked, but Hal is making it work.
TSM now climbing up the leaderboards into 8th as they climb on top of the building as well, thanks to the grab lift. They are looking to try and take out SSG and quickly finish off these kills so then they can think about their rotation. Right now they're in a great spot, and it looks like SSG are next on the TSM hit list.
Let me tell you, Hal is not happy with how the last couple of games went for TSM. That is his 5th kill in about as many minutes. Hal is destroying people right now on TSM. They look a little bit ticked off.
And the desk they were talking about, you know, can people catch XF? Because XF had those poor games. When you talk about teams that can pop off, right, that can have those mammoth games to send you up the leaderboards, TSM do have that in their locker. I won't get ahead of myself because we're still only 3 teams down, 17 squads remaining, but early signs, this seems like a far better game for TSM.
A couple of teams cohabit in this building. 100 Thieves on the outside. I'm pretty sure it was Horizon on the inside. So 100 Thieves looking for a battle. And maybe looking for some extra loot to do it with. The Black Market goes down. Horizon inside of the building are going to be pretty much set up for the long game here with the Watson fences down. So this might be one of those fights that goes on too long for both teams. I kind of want to see 100 Thieves maybe make a decision to leave this one if they need to. Otherwise, those other teams are going to third party, and 100 Thieves, they don't have the building to retreat to.
Yeah, 100 Thieves, they will want to have the outside mainly just for beacon information, but they can only hold it for so long. You're completely right. Other teams are going to start to hear this commotion. They are going to start to get involved. But 100 Thieves will want to stall as long as possible. They don't take the fight, but they may want to take the fight. If they get any sort of whiff of a low shield or anything they can push on, 100 Thieves will most certainly engage.
On move with a cheeky little angle here onto the train tracks.
Naughty.
speaking of naughty, Vaxlon has that Peacekeeper as well, and let me tell you, he was hitting some big numbers last time we saw him on our screen, so 100 Thieves probably feeling pretty confident in this team fight. They do have an armor advantage, which is a big thing for them to note as well, but opening damage so tough to push.
Вот на который заявился, уже нельзя менять, не шарит. Ну, решили контеститься, да, делили спорт таким образом. Можно клип сделать, например, высадки, кто куда падает, и посмотреть, что свободно. Скорее всего, дома свободны, деревни дальние. Но альянсы не хотели отдавать кому термалку.
They've had to back out of, but look at this. You can see the zone once again being a problem, and E36 they're getting shredded here by Exet. Exet has the high ground, and they've also got another Prowler in their hands, which is again just dealing damage for fun here. Remember, if Exet were to go down,
ой, Зилач нокает, кстати. Вот интервью взяли, все. Отпис. Вот что с геймерами делает женское внимание. Сразу о девушках начал думать. Потерял концентрацию. Это был план. Это был план агентов. Подослали. Чтобы чел больше не тащил так жестко. Ну или в целом команде стало тяжелее. А то они хренак топ-2 уже. Непорядок. Надо своих фаворитов продвигать. А, кстати, пока тут показывают, передать, переключают. Они реально 3 раунда подряд топ-20 заняли. Охренеть. Throughout the regular standings, they have it in them to disrupt teams, and it might not happen today, but certainly tomorrow. Keep an eye on this squad, full of fantastic players. Был бы Максон, там бы 3 раза подряд топ-1 был бы. Если команды в итоге будут участвовать, каким образом, если турнир идет? Вот скажи, как они будут участвовать, если уже идет турнир? Альянсы, кстати, зарубятся сейчас. Переключите на альянс, пожалуйста. Спасибо. Но там ноков нет, крак только 2. И им спину еще. Нет, спину долго, кстати, будет уходить. Спасибо. Обсервер топчик у нас. Было бы круто, если можно было бы пушкой Сира отменять ультимейты. Например, кидаешь его, и если пушкой ловишь в анимацию, то ульта отменяется, и надо по новой заряжать ее. Ну, Дримфай хорошо отбивается, тем временем в спину сейчас X-Set могут зайти. Альянс отходит, забили болт, 30 секунд до зоны. Лучше грамотно ротейтнуться, не получилось. Их захавать еще 3 поинта. Тут зону занимать. TSM have kind of taken that area off them. TSM are now holding the kind of most western side of Tree, and they'll be looking to finish anyone off that is going to be arriving late. Yeah, TSM in a really good position here for endgame as well. They do have that height at the top of the train tunnel, overlooking everything that goes down on Tree. So you can see they're holding their backs at the moment. They will have to deal with Alliance, you would imagine, and Exet. You've got Dreamfighter still coming from the north as well as Gamewood. So work for them to do for sure, but maybe they can pinch some of those teams and do the damage to force them into each other to settle that score and do the work for them. But Exet, we mentioned them, they've managed to get back up to a full 3, and that is stage 1 in finishing today in first place. Первое место, 68 поинтов. Ну, скорее всего, они выиграют этот день. Первое место в группе будет. И вроде как первого места вообще в целом достаточно, чтобы выйти.
So a little bit of silence here. It looks like there's a lot of teams who have found somewhere to play. Still 4 teams.
Я так полагаю, будет потом 2 сетки после этого. Сетка винеров, лузеров. И сетка винеров там будет с 10-кой старт.
ignited right at the start of this game. But work to do for TSM. Speaking of which, time to see what's happening on the flat line of Imperial Hal.
And I think TSM are sensing there are points
Финал из
for grabs
десяткой, да?
in this group A versus B matchup. Remember, they don't need
Тоже
to win
нет.
the group. Of course, it would be
Ладно.
great. But it's about accumulating points to put yourself in the best position to qualify and get into the winners bracket once we get to that bracket play.
Не, ну сетка, ладно, это реально борщину. А вот финалы, по идее, должны.
TSM maybe thinking about their next move here. Really, really important moments for them.
Юси, привет.
We kind of mentioned how the last couple of games been a little bit off the boil by their own standards, but a good game number 6 here can completely replace that confidence and shoot them up the leaderboard. Speaking of teams, though, you can see North Epsion here going to be eliminated. So 15 to fall out of this lobby has been found, and it looks like TSM just making sure their backs are clear here.
And sometimes with Apex Legends, you are at the will of where that circle is going. And even though they've not been terrible circles for TSM, they haven't been the ideal ones. Whereas this one, very good when you consider that they drop over a lava siphon. So they have been able to manipulate the map in a way to get some kills early on, get into a good position now, and then they can push through, try and get through the late game where they can...
Ай, что геймварс хотят делать? А, они уходят. Да все, бежать, бежать, бежать. Это заротейпнули. Или они типич ХГ собирают? Думаю. Ну, крутить за скалу поздно уже, как минимум. И червяк этот не в зоне.
It seems simple for XZ. The goal is literally just to stay alive in a survival battle royale game. I think that's a maybe too easier way of putting it, but genuinely they could have.
Мне оказывается, реально наушники не нужны, чтобы это лицо рядом с киллами — это количество киллов команды в целом. Опа, чё это? Топстрейфик не туда, не в ту дырку. Ну, если два склада будут сверху пиздиться, у них будет спейс, и они выживут. Без вас их изнасиловать могут. А не рано ли ульту давать?
Use any smoke you may have, any sort of abilities as XZ are going to be doing the damage alongside 100 Thieves, and Gamewood, their backs are against the wall.
Кто их так задамажил? Я не думаю, что X это.
Holding down one of these trucks without that Watson generator, the interception pylon, to eat those nades as they come in, means they have to play the space around. They have to deal damage and force teams away from them.
Разрезаться все равно должны. Сейчас Мэгги не дают сидеть в углу. Зона закрылась, у них также зона есть. Тем временем ТСМ развлекается наверху. Стоп, какой наверху. А, не, все верно. Киллфидом перепутал. Они DF нокали. И это также закрыли геймвар снизу. Так, Юка захиливается. Была бы инфа, кстати, по Юке. Возможно, его склад запушит. Но тем временем живет, не успел слаб. И Хал не выиграли. Ля, сколько народу за ТСМ топят, я в шоке. Чисто камеру показали, и все недовольны, что они нокнулись. Герасим, здорово. Тут самый скучный ЛГС турнир, потому что нет среди команд.
J-Lings is the big one here because they are the closest competitor to that first place now. If they can get a first place, if they can't get a lot of kills here, it's still very much in the realms of possibility to catch first.
Alliance out, Godfire out, 6 squads remaining, and I tell you what a place to do it here for J-Lings if they can take
Где Энерджи, их убили, они уже закончили играть. Они в другой группе были.
6 squads remaining. FC destroyed. They can hold the outskirts of this northern side. J-Lings are going to be sitting pretty central alongside the likes of Horizon. Teams who are going to struggle a little bit, you've got NC who've got to move in. Moist are going to be holding the eastern side as well. Western side, excuse me. So a lot of teams who are banking on the edge because there isn't much playable area in the center of this next circle.
J-Lings have the height. That's the great thing for them. You can see that's where they are, just up on that.
Наши будут играть вообще? Ну, Тортик, скажи мне, как они будут играть, когда вот идет турнир? Как они играть будут? Ну вот дали им визу, например, сегодня вечером. Дальше что?
Looks like J-Lings have had to fall off that height, trying to control as much space as they can down to that eastern side.
So it was a 72-point finish for XF. That is the target for J-Lings. I believe they're on around 59 right now. So things are starting to get a little bit close because a victory plus kills could be a result that J-Lings would find themselves in first place in groups A versus B.
Was FC destroy, try and make their way towards zone, and then they loot up. We do have a listening available, and as everything starts to move towards the carnage of the end zone, it's only right that we jump in.
From here. I mean, no, I don't want to do anything. Do you want to go now? Yeah, let's try. Yeah, click one. Wait, give me a second.
Турниры на арене были? Ну, 1 на 1 точно было, а именно чтобы 3 на 3 я не видел особо. Ну, чтоб между такими командами.
I got about okay. 36. Wait for the next queue. We just need to.
We're jumping back in. That wasn't FC Destroy. I'm pretty sure that was J-Lings, and they're picking up some more damage. But here comes FC Destroy. Forget about the listening. Listen to the shots as they're hitting the backs of these players here.
This
is a big moment because if FC Destroy can push in and get
Класс
these kills, they
арена
can
была.
reclaim this position, or they can claim
Это, наверное, давно было, правда.
But they are taking a lot of damage from elsewhere. This is not.
Ну, от ЛГС не было.
So now this is where you need to require your teammates to put down some suppressing fire here.
Smokes are going to help. Just cut off those lines of sight. Amateur manages to.
А самовольный турнир Maybe Baby. Когда-то очень давно. Короче, арена в любом случае не настолько популярна.
And you can see Pulverex right on the edge of this zone. That is a tough rotation for them to make.
Парень здорово. Тортик. Ну так какой ответ был?
So XF will watch on, pray that J-Lings do not get this first place finish, but the position they're in on set, it's not a bad one.
Let me tell you, if they can deal with FC Destroy and they can take them down, all the other teams will have to move towards them. This is a big opportunity for them to take that fight. But instead of that fight, they're going to try.
Ну и зачем переключать было? Нет, тут они снизу развалили, это классно. Horizon также минус. Ну вот и Jay-Z вверху выиграли файт. Бля, сервер. Ну, не видно, куда зона сводится. А, видно, ладно. Если это правда. А какого хрена она в скалу идет, погоди? Или в нижнюю часть скалы?
Of course, we have an Apex South team in Moist Esports, but Moist are taking a lot of damage. And again, look who's waiting. Last game it was the low ground, but this time it's the high ground.
J-Lings are going to try and replicate it.
Пиздец. Держись до последнего, чувак. Я не верю. Можешь? Бля, его все сильнее и сильнее толкает. Ему пизда. Ну, в целом команде, возможно, пизда из-за того, что он так обосрался. А у них Валькирия есть? У них Валькирии нет. Хуя не могут скиллки скидывать. Ну, противникам точнее. Я бы, знаете, как сделал? Я бы дал лифт Horizon, занял гору Ну, сначала на гору наверх закламбил, потом дал бы лифт, чтобы дальше закламбить. Либо если там можно на своих двоих пройти, то... Хотя... О, один хера не файтит. Это за дестроями победа. Но в любом случае они топ-2 взяли. Молодцы. Засекьюрили топ-2. А чё по общему счету? О, на мышке Razer играет. Если, конечно, там не гейм... Нет, там геймпад, походу. Да. Коврика нет. Так, но они еще считать будут. Так что XZ... Ну, они будут на первом, ладно. А вот эти ребята могут топ-2 занять. Что он говорит? Одного поинта не хватило? Да, геймпад. Ни хрена стильный, кстати. Мне вот такие цвета нравятся, когда оранжевый с белым, либо оранжевый с серый и черный.
South America yet, but South America perhaps tomorrow will be their day. Yeah, 100%. There's certainly a lot of good news to come for them, as we can see J-Ling's esports, a little bit of a wave to the crowd who have been, I've got to say, backing them all the way today. But a little bit of disappointment at the same time, Dan.
But I like that you've got someone coming to say, hey, look, yes, we're disappointed because we were one-off winning, but we just...
Прикиньте, это какой шанс выбиться, если ты, например, живешь в целом в стране, где мало каких-то возможностей пробиться, вот такой мировой турик выигрывает.
Every single point you have to pick up, you're going to have to fight hard for. And I'm going to say FC Destroy in that in-game played it so well. Patience is a virtue in some of those situations. Waiting for the damage to be done, taking the best position, and then capitalizing. Because a lot of times we'll see teams try and move in on that, and all of a sudden they choke it. One player
Пока
goes
еще
down,
не
it's a little bit
посчитали.
hyper-aggressive, but they played it to a T.
They did the J-Links onto J-Links. Unfortunately, they were the team that entered the fight last. And a very impressive day from so many teams. A disappointing day for others, but plenty of time to rectify that throughout this tournament.
And plenty to talk about for sure. And for us, that's going to do it from Gaskin and myself on set. Thank you for having us. It's always been a pleasure. We'll be back tomorrow, but for now, we send it down to the desk.
Round of applause for Gaskin and Onset. Great casting, fellas. We're excited to see you tomorrow back on the desk as well. And I'll be joined by Onset a little bit.
А, вот где все это было спрятано. АБ, XZ первые, да, J-Линзы вторые. 1 поинт реально, вот он показывал пальчик, так сказать. Одного поинта не хватило для топ-1. Но это не роляет, я так полагаю, что они вот здесь в группе отыгрывают.
Take it away, because I don't have enough words to describe how impressed I am with this squad and their late game performances.
Yeah, look, so I've also been keeping tabs on them, right? I had a conversation with Bowsy. I reached out ahead of Lane and I was like, hey, like, where they're headed at, how's everything going? And it was a little bit turbulent before coming into play.
Получается, J-Линзы лучше сыграли, если бы сделали 2 килла. Ну тут одного... А кто был? Он?
So much effort ahead of this. Now I look at this and I'm like, okay, so what are you going to do? He said, we're going to rely on our micro fighting. And I mean, you heard it in that interview. I just point my gun and shoot. Well, clearly it is working.
It really was that simple.
17 kills.
Собственно, вот такие вот
that seems like the strategy, right? They needed that many, though. They must have known, right, going into that. I mean, you're not necessarily like going for first in the group stage, right? Because it's the points are cumulative across all 3 of those lobbies. But at the same time, you still want to be first. You want to have that psychological advantage over everyone else. So they knew it would take a big game to do that, and they were so close.
Сейчас будет еще группа одна. В час ночи и потом. Ёб твою.
As much as I said, XZ, I would love to have seen you perform stronger in these final couple of games. I got to give them credit. They did what they needed to do with that game.
Следующая группа в час, потом следующая в 6 утра.
5 points
Слушай, я лучше пойду спать и надеюсь, что я проснусь утром. Ребят, спасибо большое, что смотрели. Я захочу зарейзу. Кого-нибудь сейчас. Смотреть будет дальше. Так, не понял, почему у меня... Я не смог обновить. У меня хардеки нет в онлайне.
Around and they start picking a fight with J-Lings, and I believe you may have already mentioned it, or was maybe Marker on set. They were talking about how that split decision to back away from J-Lings and maybe start pestering on voice. That decision making by that team won them that game. It did win them the game, yeah.
And actually, it kind of opened up the moment for J-Lings too, Gino, because I'm not sure if they could have fought FC Destroy and the team that they challenged on top. So it's kind of like both the teams did their thing and then they met up. It just happened to be FC Destroy got the better position.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, sometimes you have to make those decisions in Apex because you know there's a third party around the corner. There always is. That's what decided that game.
Right.
You know, as soon as Moist Esports got taken out, of course, that was the time where FC Destroy was going to come in.
Third party. Well, not the best party, but the most frequent party that you're invited to in Apex Legends. Make sure you remember that when you're playing your games. And everyone who's been watching at home as well. Just a big thank you. We love the support.
Короче, ясно. Идем к сансету. Никто не хочет турнир смотреть. Там СНГ никто не играет.
We've got some MVPs, conversations to get into. We've also got some interviews coming up. So some good things handling here as well as myself, Rainday, Tiff, and Gino close out the show. But I mean, we're looking at the totality of today. It was XSET. Obviously coming in on top, and I think they deserve to have that type of dynamic. It's a strong statement as well for a team that's been so close.
Ну, если что, если узнаю, ребят, сообщу. Обнял, приподнял, увидимся завтра. Спасибо большое за просмотр. Целую в пузико, кому-то ниже. До скорых встреч, не болейте, не пукайте, только если с кайфом. И мы обязательно с вами увидимся. Чао-какао. К концерту плюс 250 сердечко кабан можете отправить. А мне завтра что-нибудь отправите. Ребят. Сыбался. Сыр. Пал.